from the Solo Steel Twins recording studio in beautiful Traverse City, Michigan, for part 3 of our season finale. It is your boys, the Cannonball, the Cannon, the Steel Twins. What's up, everybody? It's voice acting night!
Oh my goodness gracious.
Holy crap, I had to put my heart, my soul, and my strength in that one.
Yeah,
I cannot believe it. Folks, this is it. The very last time you will see the two of us play the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. The end is upon us.
We're going all out, boys and girls, so you better buckle up.
This is absolutely a very bittersweet moment for us.
It is.
We have had an absolutely incredible ride with this entire series. Anyone who ever took a look at any of our videos, we thank you so very much. This is video number 28. So wrap your heads around that, kids. 28 separate videos on this game alone. 28 separate weeks. So, yeah, pretty much an entire half a year.
Yep.
Whew.
Wow,
and I got to tell you, I am so excited to bring this game to a close.
Yes.
So we want to thank Briz. We want to thank Scott and Verdi. We want to thank Will Waters. Not Bot Shot, I believe is a
no
Twitch
bot,
handle.
no shot bot,
no shot bot. Thanks, package. And Maddie and Alex and anyone that has ever taken the time to view any one of our videos. Thank you from the bottom of our warm hearts.
I assure you, your presence has not gone unnoticed, and your thanks. We couldn't thank you enough.
So, and as it was stated last episode, our next voice acting project will be Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga on the Game Boy Advance via Nintendo Switch Online. That'll be a much more fun, much more fun, a lighthearted escape and an alternative to the drama that you've been seeing here. There's going to be dramatic moments here, but it's mostly just funny, goofy stuff.
And there's going to be more action, much like the Paper Mario series.
Pretty much, it's going to be different. So I'm just checking my messages here. Well, folks, I think there's really only one thing left to do.
Well, let's do it then.
For the last time for Ace Attorney Chronicles, we're going to bring out our sponsor, our unofficial sponsor, Purple Haze, up in my brain. Folks, if you have a cap to your bottle or a pin to your drink, you go ahead and pull that pin back. Because package, what time is it?
It's time to get bombed.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
By the way, did you find out that I said sold out again?
Yeah.
Like I'm in a wrestling show, for crying out loud. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's old Cannonball in me. I can't really help it.
No, it's like, well, this is the grand finale. What are we waiting for?
The grand finale, yes. The granddaddy of them all.
It is time to end this once and for all.
Now, so just in case you guys need a small catch up, because it might look a little odd. So, where last we left our intrepid heroes, Lord Mael Stronghart has officially been accused of being the Reaper of the Bailey, because apparently the prosecution was set to be set by Lord Stronghart. Lord Van Zeeks asked Lord Stronghart to prosecute the case and to see if he could take over, and he gave it over. So all the reports, all the investigations, all that stuff, and Lord Van Zeeks was like, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm not the Reaper of the Bailey. He is." And of course now Stronghart's trying to dodge, trying to bob and weave, but the great and powerful Herlock Sholmes has come to the courtroom to relay the smackdown on that. And we are about to summon Eugen Mikitoba, the lead examiner that was in charge of the autopsy of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. He is about to take the stand. So, with that information, we are beginning part 3 of the season finale of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, The Resolve of Ryunoske Naruhodo.
Lock him and load him, ladies. It's go time.
I hope you packed a lunch, kids, because this is going to be meaty.
Yeah.
And we're getting right into it, and what in God's name is Dr. Gory doing there? And she's just staring a hole in it.
So, witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Yuji Mikitoba, lecturer in forensic medicine at the Imperial Yume University in Tokyo, Japan.
And Professor Mikitoba, the young lady beside you is...
This is Dr. Maria Gori, Scotland Yard's practicing coroner, the daughter of Dr. Scythe, I understand.
Yes, Dr. Scythe.
I'm afraid I can't tell you why she's here. She's just appeared.
You summoned this strange Japanese man as a witness to that autopsy, but you don't summon Mama. That makes no sense. She was there too.
That's about the size of it. I've had her eyes boring onto the side of my cheek constantly, whilst I was in the antechamber too.
Ugh, poor man. The idea of it's making me shudder. The revelations about Dr. Scythe that came to light some days ago defiled the reputation of the entire judiciary. She was therefore deemed to unfit to appear as a witness in today's proceedings. The Ministry of Justice's decision on that is final.
Well, we wouldn't want any more perjury to be committed, would we?
Ooh, got his ass.
roasted.
The Ministry of Justice? Some questionable strings are being pulled, I think.
Yup.
I remember you, Dr. Mikitoba, but I certainly never expected to be meeting you under these circumstances.
Yes, it's been a long while, Lord Stronghart.
Briz, evening, Gov.
Evening, Gov.
The prosecution understands that you were a visiting student of forensic science in London until 10 years ago.
That's right. I studied under Dr. Wilson at St. Sinners.
Hello, lads. You're in for a treat, Briz.
So you were present at the autopsy of my brother, Lord Clint Van Zeeks? I was, yes. I assisted Dr. Wilson with the entire procedure.
Mama is far more skilled than any Japanese man.
Well, Dr. Wilson asked me to be his primary assistant on that occasion.
And this autopsy report was actually penned by you, I believe.
Yes, I noted all of Doctor's findings, and when we were done, he read through the document and signed it.
Poor Mama. Your secondary assistant. She wouldn't have had such a good view of all the innards.
It's weird. I went to the beach today and the SPF 50 spray didn't completely work, so I am now all about ice cream and cold flannels. Hey,
That's good.
that sounds good to me. Hope you didn't get burned too bad.
So, Professor, do you remember Inspector Gregson?
Yes, of course. If it wasn't for his insistence, Lord Van Zeek's autopsy would never have happened, but he was absolutely convinced that it would reveal decisive evidence against Genshin, you see. So Lord Stronghart had to entreat the nobility to allow it to take place. Do correct me if I'm wrong, my lord.
It was as a result of that autopsy that a mass murderer was apprehended and justice was done.
Literally and figuratively. Yeah, I'm like, no, Burn, just really, I'm hot. But Gregson admitted it before he was killed. He admitted that the results of the autopsy were fabricated. You were there at the time, so you must testify. You have an obligation to tell the truth about what really went on.
Absolutely. That's precisely why I'm here.
And that's why I'm here too.
Very well, then. You will give your formal testimony now, witness. But before you begin, a word of warning.
Oh,
You will state truthfully and accurately what you saw and what you heard at the time.
I wouldn't dream of doing otherwise, my lord.
The moment your testimony verges on supposition, I will expel you from my courtroom. Remember that.
I will.
I don't have to say anything. Oh boy. Okay, so witness testimony. Take it away.
The autopsy at Clint Van Zeeks.
From my own observations, I couldn't say there was any indication of the autopsy results having been fabricated. Death results from a wound made by a Western-style sword, transfixing the heart. That I found a little strange.
There were no other signs of internal injury. Nothing questionable at all. There's just that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence removed from the man's stomach.
Wait
What the
a
heck
what?
is she talking about?
Presumed to have been swallowed by the victim as a way of posthumously identifying his assailant.
Well, that's odd.
We'll have to question her about that. No indication? Nothing to suggest fabrication?
What are your T-shirts about? We'll get through this segment. I'll tell you. Professor Mikatoba, are you certain about that?
Well, nothing that I could positively identify as such, much less swear in the testimony.
All right. So these shirts have the names of the four horsemen, right? Ole and Arn and Tully and Rick. And we had these at a bachelor party for a friend of ours a couple of years ago. Yeah, we call ourselves the Four Horsemen. So,
Continue. Oh my god. What the hell are you laughing about?
Well, that clears things up nicely. The only fabrication here, Sogi, has come from you. What? You claim the inspector confessed just before his death, but that is the fabrication.
No! He freely acknowledged it! I swear he did!
Freely, with the tip of a sword at his throat, the man was clearly at his wit's end.
Ugh.
The court will give no credence to this confession that was uttered in obvious desperation. Quite simply, there was nothing questionable about the investigation of Lord Clint Van Zeeks' death. And with this testimony we have, without question, uncovered the whole truth of the matter.
Does he really?
Madness.
If I may, my lord. There was most certainly something questionable about it, and the whole truth does rather elude us, I feel.
I beg your pardon?
Well, you're obviously aware of the facts of the case. All four of the professor's previous victims died when an enormous beast was set upon them that ripped out their throats.
Automod held a message for reason. 1800s London aristocratic. That's fine. Your 1800s London aristocratic asshole accent is on the money. Thank you.
Oh, thanks,
I
bro.
tried my best.
Thanks, Briz. Oh, such horrifying crimes.
But curiously, the killer's last victim, Lord Clint Van Zeeks, suffered a different fate.
Yes, you're right.
He was stabbed through the heart with a sword.
That's enough. I believe I warned you about this, witness. I promised to curtail your testimony as soon as it had entered the realms of supposition or speculation. Very well, my lord. In that case, the defense will pursue a conclusion to this during the cross-examination. What? I have the right to cross-examine every witness after testimony. And I fully intend to exercise that right.
Ryunoske, I'm afraid that even the presiding judge has no authority to contravene the letter of the law, as I'm sure every member of the judiciary present in the gallery would agree.
Well said, young lady. She's absolutely right, you know. Very well. You may begin, counsel. However, the moment your argument strays from the established facts, I will not hesitate to bring the cross-examination to an end. Proceed with caution. Yes, my lord.
Now, I think I remember in a testimony that Maria Gori testified about some.
Yeah, I know what to hit him
Okay,
with.
statement number 1, statement number 2, statement number 3.
Now I gotta figure this out.
It was just that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence removed from the man's stomach.
Hold it! What exactly was it, though? What does beautiful but dangerous mean?
Well, it was sparkly and round, with a hole, as if it might slip over a finger, perhaps.
It was a ring belonging to Genshin Asogi.
Oh.
My father's ring was inside the victim's stomach?
At the time, Genshin wore a large ring on the digitus cordis of his left hand, the fourth or ring finger. I'd understood it was some sort of keepsake.
My father left Japan for London 16 years ago. I was 8 years old, but I remember that ring.
You do?
My father's possessions were sent to our family home in Japan after his death, but the ring wasn't among them.
Obviously not. It was a key piece of evidence. Remains under lock and key in the stores at Scotland Yard to this day.
After the autopsy, Genshin was summoned by the police to check for the presence of his ring. It wasn't on his hand, of course. Moreover, there were deep abrasions on his finger where it had been pulled off. They arrested the man there and then, right before my eyes.
How could they?
I brought the ring along with me today.
What?
Here it is. Back dusty from years in the stores.
Holy crap, look at the size of that thing.
My God!
Are you sure he swallowed that?
What? Goodness gracious. Yes, that's it. I haven't seen that in 10 long years. And that was found inside the victim's stomach?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
You hesitated there, Professor Mekatoba. Should we read something into that? Hang on a second. I got an itch that needs scratching.
Well, it's not been added to the court record yet.
No. This is what's killing me here. All right, so this is Clint Van Zeek's autopsy report. All right.
Death from a single stab wound to the heart. Other superficial external wounds indicative of a duel.
And recent scarlet ink stains visible on the little and ring fingers of the right hand, but no documented corresponding ink was found. Autopsy findings. Vital evidence recovered from the victim's stomach during autopsy. Credit to Inspector Gregson for petitioning so doggedly for the autopsy procedure. Here's the kicker. No internal trauma noted anywhere in the body. What? But if that's true, why in God's name? That ring is huge. It is. Anyway.
Well, it's just that thinking back now. I didn't actually witness the moment it was extracted from the victim's body.
What? You didn't what?
Oh my! Really?
We're gonna have that reaction in a minute, buddy.
Yep.
But yes. What?
At that precise moment, Dr. Wilson had asked me to fetch him a new scalpel, you see.
Dr. Gory. The removal of historic evidence from the stores requires my consent, does it not? However it came to be here, the court cannot deny that this is crucial evidence for today's proceedings.
Very well. You may submit it.
Mr. Asogi's ring has been entered into the court
A
record.
ring belonging to Genshin Asogi found in Lord Clint Van Zeke's stomach during the autopsy. The claws clasped in the gem looked sharp enough to cause a very nasty scratch.
Yeah, look at those things.
Yeah.
It's not the sort of ring normally seen in Japan. They almost look like claws protecting that jewel.
We must examine it very carefully, Mr. Naruhodo. Very carefully indeed. Why not? Let's take a look at
Let's
it.
take a look at it. All right, let's see. Okay. These fat claws are doing a good job of protecting the equally fat gemstone in the middle of this ring.
Yes, if you were clumsy, you could give yourself a rather nasty cut on them, I should think.
Ow! Now my finger's bleeding. The claws really are sharp.
Oh my, that was very quick clumsiness, Mr. Naruhodo. Even for you.
Who would make such a dangerous ring? You couldn't swallow it without doing yourself some fairly serious damage, surely.
A sticky monkey bun of about that size would go down much better, with some red bean paste in the middle.
Someone as clumsy as me would probably manage to choke on it somehow. Well, you know.
We'll look underneath it.
Oh,
Yeah, look underneath it. See if there's like, no, nothing.
yeah, okay. Okay, let's move on.
Presumed to have been swallowed by the victim as a way of posthumously identifying his assailant. Now, go back for a minute.
Yeah, I know exactly which one to hit, right?
There were no other signs of internal injury. Nothing questionable at all.
Oh, yes,
really?
there was. Objection! The court has heard that the ring was extracted from the victim's stomach, but you didn't actually see it being removed, did you, Professor Mekatoba?
That's right. As I said in my testimony before, at that moment, I was fetching a replacement scalpel that Dr. Wilson had requested.
In other words, you can neither confirm nor deny whether this ring, in fact, really came from the victim's stomach or not. What are you suggesting, counsel? That the ring was never in the victim's stomach to begin with. It's entirely feasible that Dr. Wilson fabricated that detail about the autopsy.
What are you saying? That Dr. Wilson...
That Dr. Wilson was in possession of the ring in advance after it was somehow stolen from Mr. Asogi. And he produced it during the procedure, pretending to have found it there and then in the victim's stomach.
Objection! Supposition at best. What possible evidence do you have to support such a rash claim?
This evidence, right here.
That's the autopsy report.
It's explicit in that report, counsel. Other than the ring, nothing unusual was noted internally. So I'm not sure how you intend to prove your point. You've already done it for me, my lord. The lack of internal injury says it all.
What?
To swallow a ring of this size would require considerable effort and determination. And in addition to its size, there are the sharp claws around the gemstone to contend with.
My brother was a determined man, and on the brink of death even more so, I'm sure. He would have stopped at nothing to ensure that evil killer was brought to justice.
But if he really had swallowed that enormous ring, it's inconceivable that no traces of its passage down his throat would have remained as internal trauma.
No!
And there you've arrived at the sticking point. That's precisely why I had my doubt about the findings myself 10 years ago.
Then why didn't you say something at the time?
I did. I still remember the conversation I had with Dr. Wilson in the laboratory that day.
Penny, for your thoughts on what you think really happened, you or me? we're about to find out. Let's just keep going.
Strap in, folks.
Look at this. Now this is a very curious thing to find in a man's stomach, wouldn't you say?
But isn't that rather peculiar, Dr. Wilson?
What's that now, Turbo?
Well, if he swallowed a ring of that size with those sharp metal claws that it has, surely you'd expect to see damage to the throat and esophagus. Torn mucous membranes at the very least.
Dr. Mikitoba, may I remind you that I have vastly more experience than you.
I'm terribly sorry.
I can think of plenty of ways to explain why no injuries would be seen. No, let's say this. The victim would appear to have ingested the item as evidence to identify his assailant. Go ahead, write it down.
So I was right. Dr. Wilson deliberately fabricated the results of the autopsy to implicate my father.
I'm disappointed, Counsel. That argument is nothing more than speculation.
What?
Dr. Wilson was Britain's leading authority on forensic science and autopsy work. There is no scientific basis on which to doubt the man's expert opinion.
Pardon the interruption, my lord, but damage to the mucous membranes of the throat is easily identified even in living subjects.
Using a device called an endoscope, recently demonstrated in practical use in France. I want one. The government can pay.
I don't think so. And Dr. Gorey, rest assured that your removal of evidence from the stores without permission will not go unpunished.
We open up the dead to find the truth.
Ah, I beg your pardon.
But Mama, she chose to stitch her corpses up with all her secrets inside. That's wrong.
Dr. Gorey, it's looking as though she's chosen to walk a different path to her mama. This is extraordinary.
What in the world? Yes, the ring.
What about the ring?
I've just remembered something. An earlier incident.
What incident?
The one I recounted to you before, about a memory I have. Of Genshin Asogi saving my life.
What? My father saved your life?
It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. Genshin and I were walking down some back street at a late hour. All of a sudden...
Don't make a peep! You're coming with us!
all of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scars. Bang!
That's not really the sort of thing you have to try to remember. I'd never forget it.
Exactly.
The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me. It was on the ring finger of his left hand that he used to wear that ring.
Ah! Are you saying...
I've always believed those thugs were after me. But now, I'm starting to question if perhaps I wasn't the intended target after all.
Wait, but...
Genshin was arrested 2 days after that attack. And in that short interval, the decisive evidence needed to indict him was miraculously found.
You mean the ring was stolen from him? You think that's what those thugs were after that night? Oh, madness!
Objection!
You pathetic coward! You expect me to believe that you weren't involved?
What do you mean by that?
It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who took it. You stole my father's ring! You set the whole thing up so you could paint him as a mass murderer and have him arrested.
Objection! Kazuma! Open your eyes!
Ryunoske.
You must know deep down. The truth can be completely obscured, even when your judgment is only slightly clouded. But at the moment, you seem to be floundering through a dense fog. Is that why you were so insistent I should be present in this trial? To see you like this?
What are you laughing at?
Well, this is an amusing spectacle. What a grandiose expression on your face, as if you were Lady Justice herself. Seems you've thoroughly convinced yourself of this alleged fabrication of the autopsy results. So much so that you're apparently blind to the blatant contradiction that would be born out of it. What? Though it's extremely hard to believe, let us imagine that there was some misconduct during the autopsy. If that were the case, why would Asogi not have disputed the findings in his trial? Oh. In the closed court hearing 10 years ago, the defendant never once denied the claims against him. Imagine if the judge was Wendy Oldbag. In this time period, she'd only be 62. Trust me, I would rather have Wendy Oldbag up there. He's not as much of a dick as this guy is. Isn't that right, Lord Van Zeeks?
Yes, that is indeed correct. Upon hearing the verdict of guilty, he merely closed his eyes, quietly accepting the judgment. The actions of a man who has accepted responsibility for his deeds and is resigned to his fate.
But then...
Oh my! That is very strange. If Mr. Sogi did nothing to oppose the charges against him, then... that would surely mean there was no fabricated evidence!
An obvious conclusion at which you should have arrived many minutes ago, Prosecutor Asogi. Your twisted loyalty and clouded judgment are hampering your ability for logical thought. Genshin Asogi's silence at his hearing can mean only one thing. There was no fabrication of evidence during the autopsy of his final victim 10 years ago. I
don't believe
this is ridiculous. But if that autopsy was all above board, there'll be nothing to stop Lord Stronghart bringing this trial to an immediate conclusion.
Objection!
Objection! Move. Ooh, boy, here we go.
Thank you, Ryunoske. If it wasn't for your frank words just now, this trial may very well have ended prematurely.
Kazuma! What's this latest absurdity, Counsel?
My lord, your reasoning is perfectly sound, but for one giant hole!
I beg your pardon?
You claim my father's silence was due to the fact that there was no fabricated evidence. But there's another possible explanation. You've overlooked the possibility that he had a reason for maintaining that silence.
Objection!
Objection!
Silence that would lead to him being convicted and sent to his death? If the autopsy results were an invention, there's no conceivable reason why the man wouldn't have protested.
Objection!
Objection! Oh, those results were an invention, all right. There's no question of that. Or are you forgetting that 2 people with a connection to that autopsy have been assassinated? If I force the grievances I feel from my mind, I start to see you in a very different light. I think perhaps it's you who's been living in delusion these 10 years.
Me?
Kazuma-sama has created one last chance for us here, Mr. Naruhodo. If we can only show there was a reason for his father's silence in his trial.
A reason why the man would have said nothing, even though he was innocent. Could it have been part of some negotiation, perhaps? Wait, negotiation?
What's this?
Hang on a second. I thought I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, let's see.
Notice of dismissal, 25th of June. Chief Warder Daily Vigil is relieved of his post with immediate effect for having violated Clause 132 of Her Majesty's Code of Conduct for prisons. All rights to redundancy pay and other financial benefits are fully revoked.
Reason for dismissal: aiding and abetting the escape of this prisoner of convict, what's his name, just prior to his execution. Details of this escape are still being investigated. Full cooperation with the inquiries will be expected. Prison Governor Barry Caden.
Additional notes. Indications are that the jailbreak plot was conceived prior to the convict's incarceration.
It's believed that the convict engaged in some form of negotiation with prison staff in order to secure assistance. Full disclosure of information regarding these negotiations will be demanded.
Well, I'll be damned.
Call me stupid.
All right, well, let's go.
Enough rhetoric! The court must be shown evidence. What proof do you have that could possibly explain Asogi's silence in court?
3, 2, 1.
Take that!
It's true that Genshin Asogi's silence during his trial resulted in his conviction. But that didn't actually lead to his execution. On the contrary, it led to his escape. An escape that was only possible because he'd been sentenced to death.
Although I find it hard to believe my father would have negotiated in that way, the defense is correct. A fake execution, falsification of a death certificate, and a jailbreak inside a coffin. Clearly, such an elaborate plan couldn't have been carried out by my father alone.
He must have had the help of a collaborator from the judiciary.
I have here the dismissal notice of the chief warder who was working in the prison at the time. The notes read, there are indications that the jailbreak was in planning prior to the inmate's incarceration. In other words, there were suggestions of some sort of negotiation between Mr. Asogi and the British government.
In exchange for his silence in court, he was given an assurance that he would be broken out of prison. Yes, with that sort of clandestine agreement in place, I can imagine he would have kept very quiet.
I would go further than that, in fact. I would say that the elaborate jailbreak of Mr. Asogi can be explained in no other way.
Jailbreak? Is he serious? Order! Order! First fabricated evidence, and now a jailbreak conspiracy?
Of course, because it's all intimately linked.
The prosecution wishes to summon new witnesses to the stand.
Witnesses?
People who can testify about the jailbreak that took place 10 years ago.
Ah!
Governor Caden and the poor chief warder of the prison.
Oh, this'll be fun.
I won't allow this trial to turn into a farce. To summon the governor of the prison after all these years?
Oh, it wouldn't be any trouble, my lord.
What?
Father!
My dear friend may appear a little rattle-pated at times, but I can assure you he is extremely thorough. He wired both Barclay and the local prison earlier, asking Governor Caden and Mr. Vigil to attend the Old Bailey as a matter of extreme urgency.
Mr. Sholmes did that?
Are you telling me that?
Both men are, unless I'm much mistaken, waiting just outside the courtroom at this very moment.
Outside this very moment?
Here?
My lord, you must permit this trial to proceed as you declared at its outset. You promised that we would stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings.
Very well. Bring in the witnesses. Make no mistake, I too would like nothing more than to lay this business to rest once and for all. It's extraordinary.
Here we go. It's about to begin.
My head is starting to spin.
Here they are.
Oh boy.
Would the new witnesses state their names and occupations for the court, please?
Hey, Barry Caden, Governor of Berkeley Prison.
Everyone calls me Gossip. I sell jewelry little tidbits to pacify you.
Your other persona, if you don't mind.
Oh, I do beg your pardon. Of course.
Jesus.
My name is Daily Vigil. I used to be the chief warder at Berkeley Prison. The reason you've been summoned here to court today is to testify about the jailbreak of the so-called professor 10 years ago.
Look, the professor, you've already been through all this before, a decade ago.
Daily, you're any Linux album cover persona, if you don't mind.
Not sure who that is, but that's funny.
And the conclusion was that wasn't anything untoward happened.
A convict escaped from your prison, Governor. Hardly what you'd call nothing untoward.
You don't know any Linux? No, I don't.
Unfortunately, we don't, sir.
No idea.
Possibly, I assume she's a British artist of some sort.
Well,
The convict's death certificate was somehow falsified after he was allegedly executed.
Wait, that song.
Your
That's
rhythmic
whose song.
singer, Sweet Dreams of... Oh my God, okay.
That was her.
Well, I'll be damned.
Wow.
Okay, well, thanks for connecting the dots on that, Briz.
Nice.
The convict's death certificate was somehow falsified after he was allegedly executed, and he escaped the prison inside his own coffin. A plan of that complexity could never have been carried out without the help of somebody of influence inside the prison. Americans.
Unfortunately, that's so true.
Yep. I'm just gonna keep moving.
Governor Caden, don't imagine that the passage of time will afford you any protection.
eh?
If it turns out that you were involved in a plot to break Mr. Sogi out of your prison, then of course, the consequences will be very serious. In all likelihood, a capital punishment.
Gods, hold on there, laddie. All he did was witness Governor Caden. Aye, sir. You have a critical role to play in the public safety of our country. A great responsibility to shoulder.
I'll keep that in mind, Briz.
The significance of your testimony in court cannot be understated. Therefore, think carefully before you speak. And Prosecutor Asogi, you threaten the witness again, you will be held in contempt of court.
My apologies, my lord.
There's no disputing fact that an intricate jailbreak plot was enacted 10 years ago. Clearly, you were both involved in some way. So you will testify before the court now and explain exactly what took place.
Very well. Let the witnesses give the formal testimony. Tell the court everything you know of the plot to break Asogi out of Berkeley 10 years ago.
All right, what's going on here? Witness testimony.
Jailbreak plot.
The day the Japanese jock was found guilty, the directive came from the prosecutor's office. They signed the convict to the chief warder vigil here and put the plan into action behind the scenes.
I was responsible for Asogi right up until the night of his execution, but I knew nothing of any plot.
I didn't ken if there was some negotiations between the convict and the prosecutor's office. All I did was carry out my duty for Her Majesty's great British Empire.
I don't know about that shit. We're gonna have to grill them like hamburgers. A directive from the prosecutor's office
Are you saying that was the jailbreak plot? Hey, that's right.
Who sent it? Who authorized that plan?
I didn't ken that.
You're saying you don't know?
Listen, the one thing about that professor case that wasn't unusual in some way. I didn't ask any questions. I just did what I was told to do. More than that, I couldn't tell ya. I see.
But if the jailbreak plan originated from the prosecutor's office, then one thing is very clear. As suspected, there were clandestine dealings going on between Mr. Asogi and that office. The jailbreak was promised in exchange for Mr. Asogi admitting to the crimes he didn't commit.
Oh my word.
What?
That, counsel, is nothing more than speculation on your part. So, let me ask the defense.
Oh, yes, my lord.
I fail to see how these witnesses have any more pertinent information here. Do you intend to assert your right to a cross-examination?
Absolutely. I have no intention of squandering a single opportunity, my lord.
It seems all you Japanese are fiercely tenacious. Very well. Proceed, counsel.
All right, here we go. Well, we're going to have to start growing them here. Fire it up. The jailbreak plot.
Was the day the Japanese jot were found guilty, the directive came from the prosecutor's office.
Hold it! And you say you don't know who actually issued the directive?
Hey, that's right. All I can be sure of is that it was official.
But if it was from the prosecutor's office, that narrows down who could have issued it straight away.
And it wasn't me.
I can't even say it with certainty that it did originate from the prosecutor's office.
What?
There's no telling where it started. The fair chance it came from higher up the ladder. Basically, I can't give you any indication of who was behind it.
You can't be serious.
All we can say for sure is that the order must have come from somebody in authority, I suppose.
The likes of us on the ground, as it were, didn't bother with idle speculation. We just get the job done. They signed the convict to the chief water vigil here and put the plan into action behind the scenes.
Hold it! So, Mr. Vigil, you didn't know anything about it at all?
That's right. My only role in the scheme was as a scapegoat. That's right, isn't it, Governor?
Some poor beggar had to take the rap for it.
All right then. Who else did know about the plan?
I'm not the first idea, laddie. My part in the whole business is basically just dealing with the aftermath. But I wouldn't be surprised if there were other folk in the prison service who've been given similar orders.
So you don't know who else was involved?
Hey, that's right. All I can tell you, the night it actually happened, the person at the reins was Dr. Stevens.
Dr. Courtney Scythe. Dr. Courtney Stevens, or Dr. Scythe as she's known now?
Why did I have to get caught up in such a terrible business? I was responsible for Asogi right up until the night of his execution, but I knew nothing of any plot.
Hold it! Did you not notice anything unusual happening in the lead up to that night?
Oh, everything was unusual, exception after exception. After all, it was the professor. The man had terrorized the country as never before with his crimes. In order to hide his identity, he was forced to wear an iron mask over his head. Hideous treatment.
The fellow was surprisingly docile for someone who had taken the lives of 5 of the country's nobles.
Being the chief warder, I was the only person permitted to approach his cell. I can still hardly believe that I was duped by my own country.
I believe you jumped from the window of the governor's office when the jailbreak was blamed on you, didn't you?
Wash, Vigil. I can't apologize enough.
No, Governor, I don't believe you can. It won't change what's happened. And what else can you tell us about the situation, Governor Caden?
I didn't count there was some negotiations between the convict and the prosecutor's office. Hold it! But you've already acknowledged that orders came from the prosecutor's office to arrange for the man's escape. There must have been some sort of negotiation. It's the only explanation. Hey, well, regardless of me, I don't care nothing about that. The witness stand is no place for telling what you don't know for sure. I can't that much ado.
Then I presume you also know this. Not telling what you do know is a criminal offense.
Huh?
So you were just following orders, is that it? I'm afraid that won't absolve you of guilt here.
A man was still killed illegally, even if he was a condemned criminal. You may very well be found complicit in murder, Governor.
So that's what it's to be, is it? Even with the threat of conviction, you won't break your silence.
All I did was carry out my duty for Her Majesty's Great British Empire.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to
what
the
do
first statement. Give me a second. We're breaking out story mode. Sign the convict to the chief warder vigil here. Put the plan in action behind the scenes. I'm wondering if I'm gonna present the dismissal notice.
I don't know, maybe...
Then kind of there was the negotiation between the convict and the prosecutor's office. All I did was carry out my duty for Her Majesty's Great British Empire. Hold it!
That's what you could have done.
Did you carry out the plan in its entirety?
Hey, I did everything I could at the time.
As you know, Genshin Asogi was shot dead in Lowgate Cemetery after the escape. Tell me, was that part of the plan too?
My instructions were to do with getting a joke out of the jail and nothing more. I cannot tell you anything about what happened after that. Only, personally, I believe his death was the last part of the plan.
What does this all mean?
Excuse me. Mr. Vigil, is something wrong?
Yes, sir. What can I do for you, sir?
He's saluting now? What is it? Some sort of Barclay convention? What Governor Caden was just saying seemed to upset you. Did it bring something to mind, perhaps?
For the last 10 years, I've completely blotted out the memories of that time from my mind. I was betrayed by my superiors in the name of my country. Just as my father was betrayed, it seems.
I'd say just as my father was betrayed, it seems.
Just as my father was betrayed, it seems. But you see, thinking back now, I really can't imagine that the shooting of Mr. Asogi in the cemetery was ever part of the plan.
What makes you think that?
Well, it just doesn't make sense, does it? To make the man admit to crimes he didn't commit with the promise of a jailbreak, only to kill him in the end. That's treachery of the worst kind. But the point is, if the intention was always to betray him, why would there be any need for all the chicaneries of an escape?
Yeah, why indeed? I mean, there were political negotiations.
Yes, that's quite true.
If whoever negotiated with Asogi never intended to keep his or her end of the bargain, it would have been far simpler just to let the man be executed in prison as dictated by his sentence.
It all happened in that vast chamber of secrets that is Barclay, behind the high prison walls. I suppose nobody knows what really went on in this execution room now. Yes, it's an unsettling mystery, certainly.
Truth be told, there is a wee matter that's never quite made sense to me. Huh? If you believe there was some kind of negotiation behind the jailbreak between Asogi and a body atop, doesn't it quite add up, does it?
Governor Caden,
I must insist that you explain these doubts that you have by amending your formal testimony. Gods! Hey, go on then.
I think he's getting suspicious, man.
Seems to me that the Japanese fella didn't have nothing to bargain with.
Oh, yes, he did. The last will and testament. His Asogi papers. On 3, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Objection! Confessing under oath the murders he didn't commit on a verbal assurance of later being broken out of prison, Genshin Asogi was taking an incredibly risky gamble.
Very true. There was nothing to stop the British breaking their word and executing him behind closed doors anyway. Under normal circumstances, no man would stake his life on a gentleman's agreement like that.
Which means that Mr. Asogi must have had a trump card. Something that guaranteed he wouldn't be betrayed. Some kind of weapon.
Remember that.
Heavens! The fella couldn't have possibly had anything like that. But you know that he did, Governor. The Asogi Papers. The name given to the last will and testament of Genshin Asogi. It turns out that Mr. Asogi was hiding in his will in his cell at Barclay. Chief Warder Vigil caught him with it one day. You squealed, did you, you wee rat? Did I not tell you to keep that a secret?
You can't touch me now.
When Mr. Vigil caught sight of that will through the bars of the convict's cell, Mr. Asogi pleaded with the warder.
All right then, but what's on that paper?
The last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now.
A weapon. And after the convict had been killed, following the elaborate pretense of the jailbreak, that document mysteriously disappeared, didn't it?
Oh yes, all the prison warders searched the belongings in his cell, but that will was just nowhere to be found.
As I understand it, an exhaustive search was made for the document, which became known as the Asogi Papers. Governor Caden, I believe you ordered your prison staff to find it at all costs, didn't you? Eh? Would I be right in saying that you knew that the so-called Asogi Papers had the potential to make great waves somehow?
Jinx! What the blazes are you blathering about? The will was found, right and proper, in the fella's cell where I said it would be.
But how can that be? Where in his cell? We all searched the place from top to bottom.
Well, you Torag, when you didn't do a proper job there, you peely-wally galoot.
You can't criticize me now.
Oh, shut up, you bloody Torag. I showed it to you at a Ford that I knew, you young lawyer.
Yes, you did. I have the document here. It's written in Japanese and reads, The Last Will and Testament of Genshin Asogi.
Which means everything is as it should be.
Not quite, my lord. You see, there's an undeniable inconsistency here.
What? What inconsistency?
Mr. Asogi described this document as the only weapon he had left, and yet this will contains nothing of significance at all. Nothing that would have given the convict any leverage.
Are you suggesting, my learned friend, that the last will and testament stored at Barclay Prison all these years is actually a fake?
As has clearly been demonstrated already, what went on at Barclay Prison was far from above board. Oh.
That last vilification by the defense was an affront to the entire British legal system. This absurd notion of a weapon is something for which we have only the former chief warder's word. The man could quite easily be lying, or at the very least, sorely mistaken.
What? No, I definitely heard him say that, I swear. Clearly, we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to know exactly what happened with these so-called Asogi papers.
A waste of time. The will was fake. Where is the real document? Objection! Mr. Vigil was stabbed in the back by the judiciary 10 years ago. He lost everything. Very nearly his own life. Eh. And now you're gonna do it again. You're ready to brand him a liar and turn your back on him without even letting him defend himself. What? It's clear that Barclay Prison is hiding something.
It's clear that the jailbreak was masterminded by somebody in the prosecutor's office.
It's clear some illicit negotiations took place.
So what's it just going to blow some of these oblivious facts?
What did you say? We should hear more from the Chief Warder.
Have him testify again! Testify!
The trial must go on. The man's voice must be heard.
Testify!
It would seem that a vocal few here are utterly blind to the truth. Very well then. Let the witness testify again. Tell the court precisely what you think you saw of the convict's last will and testament.
Yes, sir, my lord. All right. Not over yet, but it's getting there.
We're
The Asogi papers. As the warder responsible for condemned convicts, I attended to Mr. Asogi and kept watch over his cell. The night after he was found guilty in court, he was doing something with that will in his cell. We turned the cell inside out looking for it after the execution, but to no avail.
I only found out about the Asogi papers when a directive came telling me to impound them. A document within the folds of the fellow's robe that was left in the cell. Kimono, I think it's called.
Kimono? Grill him on that. In his kimono? That's a lie! We searched every inch of the man's cell. We looked through all his clothes. It can't be true.
Well, you're not satisfied with me calling me a liar the once, you wee waffinger?
Oh, there's nothing you can do about it now. You don't have any hold over me anymore. Other than the hold you like to take on my cravat, of course. Is that what you're going to do, is it? Are you going to give me a good shake again? Or are you too scared?
You bloody Torag!
little and large. What a double act.
I love Barry's insults.
We've complied with Asogi's will as far as was possible. All of his personal effects were delivered to his family home in Japan. As a courtesy to the homeland of the most notorious killer our country has ever seen.
And we were much obliged. I can confirm that all of my father's belongings arrived safely.
Eh? And you cannot deny the handwriting is that of your old man, eh?
Yes, there's no mistaking that. It's my father's brushwork.
Really? And this last will and testament was the man's last weapon, was it? I think we can safely assume that the convict was merely prattling, knowing that his end was nigh. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, please. Push.
We're back.
Yes, my lord. What are you doing? Okay. Cross-examination time. Asogi papers. Well, before we do that, I'm going to take a break of my own. So we will be right back. 3, 2, 1. Let's do this.
It's cross-examination time.
The Asogi papers.
As the warder responsible for condemned convicts, I attended to Mr. Asogi and kept watch over his cell. The night after he was found guilty in court, he was doing something that without will in his cell. He turned the cell inside out looking for it after the execution, but to no avail.
I only found out about the Asogi papers when a detective came to me telling me to impound them. The document was in the folds of the fellow's robe that was left in the cell. Kimono, I think it's called.
Hold it! In Mr. Asogi's kimono?
Hey, the one he brought with him when he was locked up?
Yes, he was permitted to have his personal effects with him during his incarceration, I understand.
That's right. He was granted as much freedom as possible during a few days before his execution.
Indeed, he had a number of items of personal significance, I remember. He was very reluctant to part with them. Some books, that kimono, his sword.
His sword?
Karuma, the famous sword of the Asogi clan. It bears the soul of my family.
I don't doubt it, but I wasn't really getting at that.
Forget it being the soul of the clan.
Could the man have had a more obvious weapon?
Have some respect, Ryunoske.
Respectful silence?
The warders carry firearms at all times, and the inmates have shackles around their ankles. He couldn't have hurt anybody with that thing.
Still, he was allowed a sword, but no writing materials.
Hey, you wrote that will before he came to stay with us at Barclay, you see. Dr. Mikatoba was asked to bring the necessary Japanese writing implements to the prosecutor's office.
A suzerain inkstone, black sumi ink, and some Henshi rice paper, no doubt.
I was present when he wrote it. I'm sorry to say, the letters just look like a squirming mass of jet black earthworms to me.
Is that right?
Excuse me. Are you feeling faint, Mr. Vigil?
Mr. Vigil!
Sir! It was Scarlet, sir!
Scarlet? Scarlet? What? Now, hold on a second.
Wait just a minute
Wait a cotton picking minute here. Page 2 of his autopsy report. Recent scarlet ink stains visible on the little and ring fingers of the right hand, but no documented corresponding ink was found.
Wait a minute. Interesting. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't mean to blurt it out like that.
Less swaying and more explaining would be helpful.
Is there something about the testimony we just heard? Have you recalled something of importance? Something of importance? Possibly. Or possibly not. I'm unable to tell which way he's leaning, I'm afraid.
My lord, the defense asks that Mr. Vigil be permitted to supplement his testimony with this possibly or possibly not important detail.
Permission granted.
Go ahead, Mr. Vigil.
Yes, it was Scarlet. As I remembered, the document was written in scarlet ink, but perhaps I'm mistaken.
Well, take a look at this, huh?
Objection!
Objection! Scarlet-colored writing is what you said you thought you saw, Mr. Vigil. And I believe that's exactly what you did see.
What?
Hey, but again, you no evidence to say that.
Have a look at this report.
Every time I do, it makes me laugh. That's my brother's autopsy report.
Yes, and there's something in here that's bothered me since I first read it. It states that scarlet-colored ink stains were noted on the fingers of the victim's right hand.
Yes, so it does. Scarlet ink?
Now, I'm not familiar with the habits of the British aristocracy, I freely admit. But I would hazard a guess that they don't all go around with ink stains on their fingertips, do they?
Your wit is not appreciated. My brother was a well-bred and fastidious man. Should ink have sullied his fingertips, he would have cleaned them immediately.
What is your point, Counsel?
My point is this. Whatever Lord Clint Van Zeeks was writing in that unusually colored ink, it must have been directly before his death, because he died before he had the opportunity to clean his hand.
What?
I remember something troubles me at the time. At the scene, the lid of my brother's inkwell was open. But Clint was punctilious about such things. It seemed unusual, and no document penned in the color of the ink that was in the inkwell was ever found. So the document had disappeared. Are you suggesting that the document my father had in his hand that night in his cell was...
The same document that Lord Clint Van Zeeks was writing moments before his death.
Then it was.
If Mr. Vigil's testimony is to be believed, it can only mean that. Yes. Mr. Vigil!
Sir!
When you spotted Mr. Asogi with the document in his cell, his precise words were as follows, were they not?
Right then, but what's on that paper?
A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now.
Second time today.
But he says a will and testament.
A last will and testament.
If the conversation really did go as Mr. Vigil says, then what we now know completely changes the meaning of what Mr. Asogi said.
You really think?
Mr. Vigil did indeed see the convict with a will, but it wasn't that of Genshin Asogi. It was the last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zeeks.
No!
What? Are you serious?
No way! Objection! This is madness. My brother's lost will and testament? That would mean that he had chosen to die?
That is what it would mean. Yes.
No, impossible. That is utterly out of the question. Lord Van Zeeks. Clint was pursuing the professor. It consumed him day and night. Whatever happened, he would never have abandoned his investigation before its conclusion. Never! He wouldn't rest until the job was done, until the killer was caught. The idea that he would willingly accept his own death, it's obscene!
Objection!
Objection! And yet, we can be sure that he was writing his will moments before his death.
And that Genshin Asogi came to be in possession of that document. So what could the will possibly have contained?
Clearly something that couldn't be made public under any circumstances whatsoever. Because armed with that document, my father was able to negotiate with the judiciary for his life. It was something so damning that it prompted the powers that be to enact that daring jailbreak plot. Yes, there can be no question that the will contained information of the utmost secrecy.
Information of the utmost secrecy. Ah! No! It couldn't be! Oh, what is he talking about?
I've heard more than enough. Pursuing this notion of a phantom will nobody can attest to having seen serves absolutely no purpose.
Objection!
Objection! No, my lord, that's unacceptable.
What did you say, Counsel?
The last will and testament that Genshin Asogi had in his possession was that of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. All the testimony and evidence presented to the court has logically led us to that as a possibility. We have a duty to pursue the line of reasoning to its conclusion.
But with no possible means of knowing the contents of the document, there is no line of reasoning to pursue.
a reason why Lord Clint Van Zieks, a man of high noble standing, would have chosen death. Information so secret people of the judiciary would be willing to negotiate the jailbreak of a condemned killer. The only explanation that fits those facts is an unthinkable truth that turns absolutely everything on its head.
Get ready, folks.
Oh boy. But it's just too hideous. Folks,
Buckle up,
buckle up, boneheads.
Mr. Naruhodo, however difficult the situation might become, you work with your client in pursuit of the truth. That's what you resolved to do when you entered the courtroom this morning, if I'm not mistaken.
Miss Susato.
So hold your head high and keep soldiering on.
Yes, you're right. 10 years ago, in his final moments, Lord Clint Van Zieks left behind a will. A will that Genshin Asogi was able to use as a weapon to negotiate his escape from prison. In all probability, the details in the will were related to the Professor case. The defense's last statement is mere conjecture.
What are you getting at, man? Ryunoske!
As soon as these words come out of my mouth, there's no going back. I believe that the last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zieks was, in fact, a confession.
You can do this, Mr. Naruhodo.
I believe that what Lord Clint Van Zieks actually penned that day was a confession.
A confession?
Regarding the mass murderer known as the Professor and his true identity.
Objection! Enough! Counsel! What are you saying? Do you even realize? A confession about the true identity of the Professor? That would mean...
He gonna lose it, folks. Lord Van Zieks, I appreciate this must be hard to take in. But it's the only explanation that fits. The killer that terrorized London a decade ago and became known as the Professor, the man believed to have murdered 5 members of the aristocracy, wasn't Genshin Asogi at all.
No! You can't be suggesting...
It was, in fact, the man believed to have been the 5th victim, Lord Clint Van Zieks himself.
What on
What's
earth?
he say?
It's finally open, is it? Pandora's box.
The great Van Zieks family, they've been thoroughbreds of the British judiciary for years.
Lord Clint Van Zieks! He was a paragon of justice in the capital!
But he was actually a mass murderer, a perpetrator of atrocities of the vilest nature.
The general public had found out. No one order this country would be vanished. My brother. Oh, this is too awful. Poor Lord Van Zieks.
I wonder, though, did he never suspect?
Mr. Naruhodo.
Lord Barrick Van Zieks is a brilliant prosecutor. Is it conceivable that he didn't realize what his older brother really was?
Okay, folks, by the way.
Yeah.
Order! Order! Order in court!
Lord Van Zieks. The Professor made use of an enormous hound as his murder weapon. Tell me, did your brother own a dog?
Yes, he did.
Balmung. He was a well-known hunting dog. People called him a giant.
I don't believe this.
When my brother would go hunting in the forest or the grounds behind the house, he always took Balmung. After Clint's death, the creature passed away too, almost as if he were following his master. He was a magnificent hunting dog, worthy of the jewel-studded collar around his neck.
Jewel-studded collar? What?
We found...
A jewel-studded collar?
Remember that case? That's right. Though sadly, some years ago now, it was stolen by a thief who broke into the house one night.
Selden.
Yeah!
A jewel-studded collar stolen by a thief. It so happens that myself and my colleagues have come across such a collar during our time in London.
How could you?
There was an old emblem attached to the collar, too, made of pure gold. It was topped with a small crown and bore an ornate capital letter B.
What? An emblem bearing the initial B?
Oh my! You know it?
It's the insignia of the Baskerville family.
What? The Baskerville? Why is that name coming up now?
Oh boy. Baskerville is the family name of my late brother's widow. That pure gold emblem was an heirloom which Clint acquired upon their marriage. There can be no doubt then, the collar you've described was Balmung's.
The family insignia of Lord Clint Van Ziegs' widow.
There was a considerable amount of blood on the collar when we saw it. Since we know the dog was used for hunting, it could have been from its quarry, of course.
But it could equally have been from human prey.
So it is true then.
Clint Van Ziegs really was the professor?
Impossible. These Japanese are making it all up to exonerate their own. So in fact, the person responsible for these murders of nobles and royals was a noble himself, and that threatened to be an enormous scandal that would irrevocably destabilize British society.
My father knew that and was using it to negotiate his way out of the unjust charges brought against him. But at the very last hour, those he bargained with betrayed him, slaying him mercilessly on foreign soil.
Well, can you deny it, Lord Stronghart?
10 years have passed, and still now, the 6 million inhabitants of our great capital rest easy, believing that justice was done. That though his anonymity remains, the diabolical murderer was caught and executed. Very well, then. You may have the truth.
Here we go, folks.
Oh, shit. Wow.
Tell me then. Tell me what Clint really was.
He was a good man.
Lord Clint Van Ziegs was too pure of heart. When he became a prosecutor and went in pursuit of the black roots of crime, he drove himself into a corner. He came to the uncomfortable realization that to fight the most fiendish of criminals requires one to become even more fiendish oneself.
Clint.
Oh, boy.
The 19th century was a truly miraculous 100 years for Great Britain, and indeed the whole world. New industry, new technology, and with the birth of the Metropolitan Police Service, new law and order. These dazzling new developments meant ever deeper shadows were cast on society. Water sullied by factories, air thick with noxious fumes and crime. growing daily to fill the darkness. Lord Clint Van Zieks made it his mission to combat that darkness, but as time went on, slowly ate at his soul, till eventually he was consumed. It's ironic, really, and somewhat surprising that the truth has once again been unearthed by a Japanese.
Once again? What do you mean?
10 years ago, your father, Genshin Asogi, turned up at my office one night. The professor? Yes, beyond all shadow of doubt. You must issue a warrant to search his home at once. Don't be absurd. The man comes from one of our country's most illustrious families. He's a paragon of justice here in the capital. Yes, that's the point. That's why none of you British can see it. He's using his noble status as a diversion whilst he commits these atrocious crimes behind the scenes. Do you have evidence? Nothing definitive as yet. But he keeps an enormous savage hound on the estate. We need the full support of the judiciary for this. We're up against a member of the aristocracy. So a large family estate has a fierce guard dog. You should know that's commonplace here in Britain. I'm sorry, but I can't possibly put Scotland Yard onto this... I'm sorry, but I can't possibly put Scotland Yard onto this based on the tenuous accusation of a visiting student. So I turned down Asogi's plea, and as a result, he took it upon himself to visit the Van Zieks mansion on his own. We can only imagine now what happened between the two men. Though we know the outcome, of course, Lord Clint Van Zieks perished.
I don't believe this. So, in actual fact, Cosmo-sama's father did?
He made the late Lord Van Zieks meet the same fate. He put a permanent end to the professor killings by taking the drastic measure of ending the perpetrator's life.
As soon as I heard, I hurried to the mansion. When I arrived, it was easy to grasp what had happened.
And? What about the will?
Asogi must have already taken it. Nothing of that nature was found at the scene. We had no idea of the existence of such a document at that time.
Wow. Jesus. So, yep.
Wow.
The truth comes out.
But isn't there more to this?
I was the only person who knew of the true identity of the professor. So, I resolved to keep it a secret and to guard the secret to the bitter end.
Yeah, forgive him. He's talking with his mouth full.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm a bit peckish. So you're admitting to it? That you were behind it all?
It was you then who pinned the crimes on my father.
I did what needed to be done in order to protect the law and order of the British Empire. Even if that meant employing an unforgivable ruse. Then it was you who arranged this fabricated evidence. I ordered that detective to take care of it, whilst keeping the truth from him naturally.
Gregson.
Obviously, he opposed me at first.
You off your locker? We can't do something like that.
There's no question that it was Asogi who murdered Lord Van Zieks. The house staff have made statements that they saw the man running from the mansion that night.
Yes, well, no doubt it was that Japanese fella. We have got a shred of conclusive evidence against the man. And worse than that, he doesn't keep a dog. So we're short of a murder weapon to boot.
And we're short on time, Gregson. We must put a stop to this man's rampage for the good of the country. So we'll use whatever means necessary. Do I make myself clear, Detective?
Blame me.
So that night, 10 years ago, when I was attacked by those thugs in the back streets, and Genshin's ring was taken, that was him, was it? That was Gregson and some hired help.
Then the detective handed the stolen ring to Dr. Wilson, who feigned its discovery from the victim's stomach during that autopsy.
And in the light of that decisive evidence, Mr. Asogi was found guilty of the charges brought against him. However, behind the scenes, he had actually already struck a deal with his accusers, in which he agreed to silently accept the charges.
But I just don't believe that part. As far as I knew the man, my father despised such underhanded dealings.
It was extremely easy to make him comply. You see, he had one crippling weakness.
What weakness?
Isn't it obvious? You, Kazuma Asogi.
Me?
Perhaps you have no desire to return to your homeland, Asogi. What? Though I hear you have a 14-year-old son. Agree to cooperate and accept your guilt without contention, and you will see Japan and your son again. You scoundrel! Whether you choose wisely or not, it will be a closed trial by order of Her Majesty. So whatever rash claims you might make in court, we'll have no trouble in stifling them. There's only one outcome for you, Asogi. The gallows. Don't forget that I still have a weapon at my disposal. A document revealing a truth that I know you're desperate to keep hidden. Yes, it hadn't escaped my mind, which is the only reason I'm willing to bargain with you. I only want to protect this country's law and order, you understand? So, what's it to be, Asogi? Kazuma.
Wow.
Oh, man. He did it for me.
And as I told him at the time, my motive was simply to protect Britain from the damage the truth would do. To protect this country's law and order at any cost.
I don't believe
They
this.
don't believe this.
Objection!
I've never dared let myself even consider this possibility until now. But in the light of all this treachery, I have to ask. The mastermind behind the Reaper of the Bailey. Was it you, Lord Mael Stronghart?
A rather brilliant idea, wouldn't you say, Lord Beric Van Zeeks? That the spirit of your late brother, that paragon of justice, should return to reap justice for his sibling? Could there be a more appetizing tale for London's masses, I ask you?
What brazen?
I knew that you'd play the part to perfection. But your role really wasn't that of some embodiment of death. No, you were London's guardian angel.
An angel with bloody hands? I think not.
Those who had cooperated with me already were only too happy to participate in my plan. Inspector Gregson, Dr. Wilson. My minions worked tirelessly to ensure that the finger of guilt could never come to rest on you. It's all thanks to them that you were exalted as the demigod the Reaper became.
But Dr. Wilson left Britain 4 years ago when he was invited to work in Japan.
That's right. So I had to employ the services of his young protege after that. Dr. Courtney Scythe. Dr. Scythe. So what with the execution of the Professor and the subsequent reign of the Reaper of the Bailey, I've successfully safeguarded law and order in our mighty capital for the past decade. That is everything. I doubt it.
Nope.
My lords, ladies and gentlemen, I do hereby confess, it was I who sired the concept of the Reaper. However, let me say in my defense, it was all for the preservation of law and order across the entire empire.
My ass.
Lord Stronghart did it.
An unforgivable collection of crimes. But still, all those who died at the Reaper's hand were rotten to the core anyway.
If it was all in aid of keeping London safe, there is no one left now who can reveal the precise truth of what happened 10 years ago. Therefore, this trial can go no further. Now, I would like to entreat all those present. Beyond these four walls, nobody need know the truth. Even Her Majesty must be protected from this. I trust you all appreciate the importance of my request. It is, of course, for the good of the country. I keep hearing that phrase a lot. Can he do this? Can the trial really end now?
Hold it! I have one last question. For the accused, Lord Van Zieks.
What?
Of course, I know that you're a highly accomplished prosecutor, so I find it hard to believe that you didn't have any doubts at all. That you never suspected your older brother.
Oh, he's twisting the knife. Yes, the same thought occurred to me.
It was only once, but yes, I couldn't say that I never had my doubts. My brother's sense of justice was extremely strong. Perhaps too strong, I observed. At that time, there were members of the aristocracy who were bleeding the country dry for their own gain, and since they were nobles, they were untouchable. For my brother, it was a source of great turmoil.
And coincidentally, at the same time, the Professor began his terrifying reign.
During the time of the Professor killings, my brother did not appear to be himself.
And that made you suspect.
Yes, but it was only once, not more.
Only once? Really?
Clint wasn't the culprit. That was my conclusion at the time, and I still believe that now.
Do you have any evidence to support that idea?
The third victim was the Lord Chief Justice at the time.
Oh, this'll be important.
It was he who had recognized my brother's potential and trained him as a prosecutor. No matter what the circumstances, it's unthinkable that my brother could have killed his friend and mentor.
That will do. Neither Clint Van Zieks nor Genshin Asogi still walk this earth. However much we debate this matter now, we cannot hope to reach a conclusion. But there are only two extant pieces of evidence from the time. The woebegone ring that acted as the incriminating evidence to condemn Genshin Asogi, and the 3-page last will and testament penned in black ink and left behind by the man.
3-page? 3-page.
Wait
Wait a minute.
Wait, what?
Time out. Time out.
What?
There's 2 pages here.
Yeah.
How does he know about 3 of them?
My God. Well, where'd
Oh,
you...
that's a slip up.
Oh, yeah. He
All
let
right,
that,
here we go.
He let that slip big time, bro.
The wretched truth of what happened is exactly as I have explained. Later today, I will present myself at the Ministry of Justice for whatever sanction is deemed appropriate. That is all. Court is adjourned.
But, no, wait a minute. No, stop that.
Objection!
Here we go. Thank you, Kazuma.
Me?
If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have made this 11th hour discovery.
What discovery?
My lord, I'm afraid I must insist the trial continues.
I beg your pardon?
As the court has been reminded today already, we must stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth. And to that end, one particular statement made by somebody in this courtroom moments ago revealed a very subtle contradiction.
What contradiction?
But all I did was ask the accused one simple question. Well, it began with Lord Van Zieks and his recollection about his brother. But Lord Stronghart didn't permit the defendant to speak at length.
I merely pointed out that we can draw no further useful conclusions here. So where on earth is the contradiction?
Oh, we'll find it.
Yep, one of them definitely just said something contradictory. It's time to identify who.
Lord Stronghart.
Lord Stronghart.
Yep.
It was Lord Stronghart, I'm sure of it. Something he said was slightly off. Come on, Ryunoske, think back over his words. Find the problem.
We already found it.
Neither Clint Van Zieks nor Genshin Asogi still walk this earth. However much we debate this matter now, we cannot hope to reach a conclusion. There are only 2 extant pieces of evidence from the time. The woebegone ring that acted as the incriminating evidence to condemn Genshin Asogi, and the 3-page lost will and testament penned in black ink and left behind by the man.
Lord Stronghart, would you care to explain?
Explain what, counsel?
Among the statements you made just a few moments ago, something you said was inconsistent with a certain piece of evidence we have.
Inconsistent?
And whilst an inconsistency remains, the defense has a right to pursue an explanation.
Ryunoske, what?
Let me warn you about the statements you are making, counsel. They may very well prove fatal. You claim my words contained a contradiction? With what piece of evidence, I ask you?
All together, everybody. 3.
2, 1. Take that! This here is the will left behind by Mr. Asogi. The 2-paged will.
What?
Yet moments ago, your precise words were the 3-page last will and testament. Could it be that originally there was a 3rd page?
For a moment, I thought perhaps you'd identified something worthwhile. It's a mere trifle, I see.
A trifle?
Governor Caden! Yeah? What can I do for you, sir? You were present when the Japanese man penned his last will and testament. Aye, I was there for sure. I remember the block were on like scrolls to this day. And I'm quite certain, my lord, that there was a 3rd page at the time.
What?
Only the first 2 pages for the actual will, though. If I mind correctly, the 3rd is a message to his lord back in Japan. For legal purposes, we required only his will. And we wouldn't have wanted any uncomfortable words about Britain getting out to Japan, eh? So it was decided that the 3rd page oughtn't to be sent.
Objection! Objection! How dare you make that decision? I had a right to know what he said, to hear my father's final words to me.
The courtroom is no place for sentimentality, counsel.
As it happens, I have the third page of the document with me anew.
My father's message!
It will be given to you at the end of these proceedings. It'll be too late once the trial is over. We need to know what it says now. Even the slightest thing may give us a vital clue.
Oh, yeah.
My lord, the defense calls for Genshin Asogi's last words to his son to be read out loud before the court now.
Your request is denied. The inevitably maudlin words can be of no consequence now.
Objection! The prosecution agrees. The court should know the content of that message. Every possible piece of evidence must be thoroughly examined.
Very well, then. Governor Caden, you will read the third page of the document for all present to hear.
Yes, sir. Only, should point out, my lord, and I can't actually read word and language.
This beautiful handwriting? Shame on you, Barry. If I could be of assistance here, I would be happy to translate the words into English for the court.
Father!
You're still here, are you, Dr. Mikatoba?
Naturally, I consider myself a member of the judiciary, albeit a lowly one. But perhaps I should quietly withdraw after I've translated Genshin's message.
Your cooperation is much appreciated.
Kazuma, the truth is shrouded in darkness, a darkness only our clan's greatest sword can pierce. Mighty Kuruma, twist thy head and watch them fall, all thy mortal foes.
What the hell?
Remember that.
That's the end of the message, it would seem.
A haiku poem? Twist thy head.
Father,
What is Karuma?
the name of the Asogi clan's famous sword, a razor-sharp blade known to all, passed down for generations. It embodies the Japanese spirit.
It's not known to me.
It's the katana sword that was submitted as evidence earlier in these proceedings. The one worn by the prosecution counsel when he confronted Inspector Gregson.
Want to look at that sword?
Yeah, let's take a peek. See if it'll let us do it.
Yeah.
Twist thy head, right?
Yep. Well, just take it out first.
Karuma, the great blade. It's such a thing of beauty. I want to gaze on it for hours.
Okay, so what's this? Huh? Okay.
I guess I can't get there yet. So hang on. The details of the Asogi papers have been updated in the court record.
It seems there was a third page to it.
All these procrastinations are beginning to try my patience. Adjournment of this court is long overdue.
Now, hold on. Let's see if we can do it now.
All right. Oh,
Okay, we got this. Mighty Kuruma, twist thy head and watch them fall. All thy mortal foes. That's the proper way to use the sword, is it? Maybe I should try it. Hurts my neck, that's the trouble.
Mrs. Naruhodo, if I might make a suggestion, I think perhaps it doesn't mean your head.
Oh,
I once studied the history and development of the katana some time ago, and as I'm sure you're probably aware, the sword's head is the part at the very end of the hilt. It's written as head in Japanese, but it's pronounced as kashira, I believe.
Kashira. So Mr. Asogi's words really mean twist the butt of the hilt. You don't think... No!
Oh!
Look what's inside it!
Is that a tightly wound sheet of parchment?
What? Scarlet ink! It's written in scarlet ink! I penned this, my last will and testament, in the final moments before my inevitable and willing death. This is it, isn't it?
Mr. Naruhodo, look at the signature at the end!
Clint Van Zeeks. And the date, 10 years ago on that fateful night!
So for 10 years, it's been silently concealed inside Karuma and nobody knew. The last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zeeks.
Wait. Oh my goodness. Look at this. This is unbelievable. Clint Van Zeke's will has been entered into the court record.
The last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zeeks has been hidden inside the great sword Kazuma for years. A trump card left behind by Genshin Asogi.
Holy shit! Okay, let's see if we can read it.
Can you read it?
Oh, I can't read it.
No,
Never mind.
Okay.
All these procrastinations are beginning to try my patience. Adjournment of this court is long overdue. As the presiding judge, I have been as accommodating as possible of the will of the courtroom. However, despite all that, no new information has come to light. In pursuit of justice, Lord Clint Van Zeeks tragically lost all sense of morality. When he murdered his former mentor, clearly he was already devoid of his normal faculties.
Objection! How dare you! I refuse to believe that of my brother.
Too much time has passed. We cannot ever hope to know more than we do now. Especially since the alleged will that he penned in his final moments appears to have been lost forever.
Lord Stronghart, you appear to be in something of a hurry to wrap things up. I wonder why. We've heard you state time and again during these proceedings that everything you did was in the interests of protecting British law and order.
And I stand by that. Without the Reaper, we could never have achieved the reduction in crime the capital has seen.
Objection! What about Inspector Gregson then?
And Dr. Wilson. They were no criminals. You used them to achieve your ends, and then you had them killed.
However you dress it up, there was nothing fair or just about that.
Lord Stronghart, what exactly is it that you're hiding?
Dr. Mikitoba, were you not to quietly withdraw after the translation of your former associate's will? In this courtroom, no argument carries weight unless it is supported by evidence. And it would seem that the defense has no more evidence to present.
Oh,
Yes, we do.
In which case, I hereby order all discourse from these proceedings to be struck from the record.
This is my last chance.
Mr. Naruto!
I have to present some decisive evidence now, or it's all over. But can I present evidence? Wait, my lord. As it happens, the defense does have evidence to present. Listen to this music.
Yeah!
What? Don't be absurd. There is nothing of relevance remaining from the time.
Objection! It's high time that you realize something, my lord.
Huh?
This gentleman has an uncanny habit of producing evidence at the final hour that had escaped everyone else's attention.
Nonsense.
What is it, Ryunoske? What do you have?
I dare say the final decisive piece of evidence that will reveal the whole truth that will reveal the whole truth about this rotten tale.
How can you?
Decisive?
Well, it would appear there's no escaping it now, my lord.
Let it be so then. Present whatever you think you have that can settle this decade-old enigma, if you're capable. What exactly is this evidence that the defense claims to be so decisive?
3,
2, 1.
Take that!
There is a single piece of evidence that can clarify what really happened 10 years ago.
The last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zeeks.
Ha! A wonderfully astute observation, I'm sure. But in case it had escaped your notice, that document was lost long ago.
That's right. It was. Only, I have it right here. Discovered just moments ago.
Oh!
Whoa! Impossible! That can't be!
Everything that's happened comes back to this will. This document is the key that will unlock the entire mystery.
No!
My brother's lost will and testament. Where did you find that?
It was rolled up inside this.
Inside Karuma?
That ultimate weapon Genshin Sogi obtained has lain undisturbed in the hilt of this sword all these years, just waiting for the right time to emerge and reveal the truth.
The signature and seal certainly look official.
My God, it's true. It's my brother's handwriting. There can be no mistake.
What? This is unbelievable.
I forbid the contents of that document from being read out. Do you hear me? I strictly forbid it.
Objection! You can't do that, my lord. This document could explain everything.
That document could literally destroy the meaning of justice in this country. I demand that you hand it to me at once.
Why? What are you trying to hide? Could it be that you already know what's written on this page?
What are you implying? Court is adjourned with immediate effect. Clear the courtroom.
Objection.
Do that, my lord, and you'll suffer a fatal blow as Lord Chief Justice.
I beg your pardon.
Forcibly ending a trial without good reason, and not any trial, a closed trial by order of Her Majesty the Queen. To defy the monarch's will is treason.
Lord Clint Van Zieks really did pen a will that day.
It's exactly as the young Japanese man said. Read it! No!
We have a right to hear what's in that will. A right and a duty.
Well, my lord. It would rather appear as though proceedings aren't going to go quite as you'd hoped.
You fools!
Go ahead, Ryunoske. Read it! The prosecution gives its full support!
Very well, then.
No, for God's sake! No!
That was brilliant.
That's just the appetizer. What voice should I use here?
I penned this, my last will and...
I pen this, my last will and testament, in the final moments before my inevitable and willing death. I want to do it this way. The hour is 11 p.m. and I sit at my writing desk in my office. My good friend Asogi stands at my shoulder. He has expressed his intent to invoke the dying ritual of the duel, that I may depart this world with honor, an honor of which I am utterly undeserving. The Japanese are a truly merciful people. I, Clint Van Zieks, Lord of the Manor of the Van Zieks Estate, hereby confess the following. I am the killer who has come to be known in society as the Professor, guilty of 4 counts of murder. I will not here discourse the corruption rife among the aristocracy, which is to me as one of them so apparent. However, 6 months ago I took the life of a member of the House of Lords at the heart of the depravity. A demon who habitually sacrificed the common man to further his own interests, abusing his position of power. The law is impotent against such vile avarice. Only a fellow demon can rid society of this menace. That demon was my quarry, upon whom I willingly set my great hound. But though I am a hunter of some experience, I am a poor felon, it seems.
My guilt was at once recognized by another, and I became subject to his extortion. He held over me the threat of exposing my wicked crime to my beloved wife and brother. Under that threat, I have done this man's bidding for months now, killing those he demanded I kill. As I watched my former mentor perish before my eyes at the jaws of the hound I commanded, I realized that I had lost the last shred of decency within me and sunk to the level of a wild beast. There is no path back to the light. Be it I or my dear friend Asogi who dies this night, I am eternally damned. To my extortioner, Mael Stronghart, may you feel the jaws of the beast at your throat every time you swallow.
Now that was pretty damn good.
Yep, I've practiced that a lot.
Oh, I bet you did, yes.
What on earth?
So now we know. Yes, Clint Van Zeeks was a murderer. But somebody was directing him and naming his victims. His extortioner, Lord Mael Stronghart, it was you!
Lord Stronghart, a moment ago, you claimed that what the court has just heard could destroy justice in this country, but you weren't trying to protect justice at all. All you were trying to do was conceal the secret of your true nature and the countless lives you sacrificed up until now. It just didn't make sense to me that the third victim, the former Lord Chief Justice, was my brother's benefactor and a man of lofty principles. As I said, Clint had no possible reason to kill the man. But you did, didn't you, Lord Stronghart? To eliminate the man who stood between you and the office you set your sights on. So you used your own hunting dog, Lord Clint Van Zeeks, to take him down.
It's hard to be done. Huh? London's unsavory shadows are deep, and the arm of the law fails to reach their depths. Crime must be cut off at the roots, but the Lord Chief Justice at the time couldn't see that. He was weak. Lofty principles, you say? Tantamount to cowardice, if you ask me. Which is why I took his place, in order to fight the crime he was allowing to spread like wildfire.
By murdering the man?
The Reaper, the Professor, the name makes no difference. As I've explained countless times already, it was all done for the furtherance of law and order in London.
Objection! Are you gonna legitimize the murder of my father now too?
Ah, Genshin Asogi. Well, that was unfortunate. I'd fully intended to send him back to Japan, as we'd agreed.
I don't believe you! It was you, wasn't it? You killed him!
No, it wasn't me who took your father's life. Then who? On the night following his mock execution, I went to Lowgate Cemetery at 3 a.m. with Jigoku. Judge Jigoku? There had to be a collaborator on the Japanese side to manage Asogi's treatment after his repatriation. Jigoku had fierce ambition. It made him easy to manipulate. 10 years ago, after he stood trial for the destruction of the witness stand, I had words with him. When I told him the position of Minister of Foreign Affairs could be his, he couldn't agree fast enough.
Seishiro, you fool.
As you know, Asogi escaped the prison in a closed casket and was subsequently interred. We intended to dig him out of his grave before he ran out of air. But sadly, all did not go to plan. there was an unexpected visitor to the cemetery with his own ideas about digging up graves. A man who witnessed what nobody was supposed to see.
Anak Drebber.
That guy.
Of course, I knew grave robbers frequented London cemeteries. But that grave on that particular night? Blast! If people find out the convict wasn't really executed, the scandal will rock the very foundations of the Empire!
Then what do we do?
Shoot him, Mr. Jigoku! Shoot Asogi at once! He can't live now this has happened! He has to go!
What are you talking about? You had an agreement.
You promised him he could return to Japan! Everything has changed now! If the truth got out because of this, both of us would be finished forever! Ugh. Come on, Jigoku, do it! Pull the trigger! Shoot! Bang!
Ugh,
Oh my god.
what an asshole.
What? Oh my god.
Jigoku shot Asogi from the shadows. The grave robber so close the blood sprayed over his coat. He fled as fast as his legs would carry him. Then Jigoku and I put Asogi's body back in the grave from which he'd just emerged. When I later learnt of the waxwork modeller's presence at the scene as well, I made her swear to two things. Never to remove the professor's mask, and never to speak of the events of that night. And with that, the secret was buried, along with Asogi's corpse. So, now you know what really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night.
Oh, Jesus, the truth came out.
Yep.
But now what? Now what do we do?
Well,
everybody's just stunned silence.
It was Jigoku, your Japanese acquaintance, who killed Asogi in the end, you see. He claimed to be the man's friend. When push came to shove, he pulled the trigger.
Just before Mr. Jigoku left the courtroom earlier, he said that the assassin exchange proposal was a demand from his British counterpart, not a request.
So you coerced him too, using what happened in the graveyard.
By that time, Jigoku was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, negotiating international treaties with Britain. You can imagine what would have happened if it came to light he'd murdered a compatriot 10 years earlier. He would have lost everything. I merely reminded him of that.
How do you sleep at night?
These past 10 years, I fought tirelessly with the darker recesses of London's criminal underworld, and I've used whatever means necessary to ensure that justice prevails and law and order reign supreme. Objection! That couldn't be further from the truth. The fact is, you haven't fought crime at all. How dare you? I saved Clint Van Zieks from dishonor in his death.
Objection! Whilst behind the scenes, you systematically buried anyone who stood in your way. And then, you made my father take the blame.
It was unavoidable. It was the only way to protect our justice system and public order.
Let's not forget the others you had killed as well. Setting the defendant up as the Reaper to cover up the truth behind the murders of countless more.
That's enough! Do you have any idea of the conniving that led to the acquittals of those wretched criminals? We have to fight fire with fire. Our courts can't function without a Reaper. Can't you see all I've done for this country? This has been my struggle.
Objection! Objection! You've done nothing! It's Lord Van Zieks here who worked tirelessly and justly in court whilst enduring the disgrace of the Reaper name!
And Inspector Gregson, fraught with anguish for having sullied his hands through a desire to do the right thing. Not to mention Genshin Asogi, who risked his life going into
who risked his life going in pursuit of the truth you tried to hide. No, the darker recessions of London's underworld were largely filled by you.
You little... When will you get it through your thick skulls?
That it was all for Queen and country? I'm tiring of that excuse. You've consistently twisted the truth for bargaining power to make others do your bidding. Nothing more.
People who willingly twist the truth and coerce others have no right to call themselves part of the judiciary. I strongly suggest you don't ever talk of justice again.
Is it over then? It was you, was it, Lord Stronghart? You're the one who did all this.
This is absolutely dastardly.
Well, well, well. Dear me, my good fellows, dear me. A well-deserved round of applause, I think, for a quite marvelous performance.
What are you talking about?
Those delightfully grave expressions, that beautifully pronounced Queen's English. Really, our friends from the Far East are quite the picture of industriousness.
You fraud! Keep your mockery!
Please, don't misunderstand. It really is exactly as you have both said.
What are you trying to say?
I have occupied the darker recesses of London's underworld and, how did you put it? Done nothing. I confess it's a little embarrassing to have it pointed out quite so starkly, but yes, I really have done nothing, which means I can be indicted for nothing. No? What? It's true. It's true. Personally, I have committed no crime. I've merely been surrounded by fools who have acted very rashly indeed.
Objection!
Objection! You can't get away with that! You've consistently preyed on people's weaknesses! And what? Threatened them? Are you sure it wasn't just bargaining? What on earth is going on here? I would like to address all the good lords, ladies, and gentlemen of the judiciary here present. You all know of these darker recesses in our great capital, and deep down I believe you also know that to fight those who dwell there requires at least some of us to occupy the darkness ourselves. So let me appeal to your good sense now. Consider the situation with me. If this catalogue of horrifying revelations were to become common knowledge among the 6 million inhabitants of London, what might happen? To learn that the infamous murderer of royals and nobles was a respected member of the aristocracy himself, that evidence was fabricated in the scapegoat's trial amid secret negotiations with prosecutors to effect a jailbreak, that the Reaper of the Bailey was an organized group of assassins managed by a Scotland Yard inspector, and finally, that it was all masterminded by the Lord Chief Justice himself.
If the general public of Britain knew the truth, all faith in the police and the prosecutor's office would be completely lost, without doubt. Public order in the capital would completely break down. We'd be cast back to the lawless days of the last century.
Precisely. As it was 100 years ago, when 1 in 10 of the population were criminals. Think what we've accomplished since then. A public policing force, a comprehensive set of laws. And if we want to continue to protect this new era of law and order, I say again, we must at times occupy the darkness ourselves. We have successfully identified and apprehended the man responsible for taking Inspector Gregson's life. That is all that was expected of this trial. All these other matters that have been discussed will be eliminated from the minutes of these proceedings in the interests of preserving law and order, and to protect Her Majesty the Queen, of course. Well, my lords and ladies and gentlemen, what say you?
Well,
He has a point,
the things Lord Stronghart has done are quite unforgivable.
but on the other hand, isn't it our duty to maintain law and order in the capital?
Can't deny that the threat of the Reaper over the years has done wonders for the crime rate.
And by fair means or foul, that's all thanks to Lord Stronghart. Stronghart! Stronghart! Stronghart!
Stronghart!
Oh my gosh.
What the hell?
What the hell is this? Are you hearing this?
This is the will of the British judiciary?
For your rousing response, friends, I express my heartfelt gratitude. Therefore, in accordance with the overwhelming wishes of the court, the records shall be erased.
You have to respect the man's ability to turn a situation to his favor. Lord Stronghart really is a master of manipulation.
You've conclusively proven his guilt, yet he still manages to evade justice. I just don't know what we can do.
Ryunoske! It looks like the trial really is going to come to an end now. I'm almost out of options, I think.
Remember that.
Uh-oh, wait a minute. There is one hand we can play.
Yeah?
There's really only one path left open to me. Use evidence. Here we go, baby.
Wait a second now.
Yes, as I know, only too well. The only thing that carries any weight in court is hard evidence.
Listen to that music, folks!
Oh yeah, get up on your feet.
But, Mr. Naruhodo, what evidence is there to use at this stage in the trial?
I have an idea. I don't know whether anything will come of it, but if there was ever a time for using this particular item we have among the evidence, it's now.
You heard the man! 3, 2, 1.
Heave! Take that!
Oh my! Yes, Mr. Sholmes asked if you had that with you earlier.
We've exposed all of Lord Stronghart's wrongdoing now. I've no doubt that Mr. Sholmes had already deduced exactly how the truth would unfurl. So I think it must be time for the Great Detective to take center stage, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. Let's take the hair by the ears then, and heave!
All right, here goes. Heave!
Ow, 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 ow! My dear fellows, must I remind you every time? A gentle tug will suffice.
Mr. Sholmes!
You're looking in quite the wrong direction, Mr. Naruhodo, because I'm over here.
Mr. Naruhodo, he's... It's Mr. Sholmes!
I wasn't expecting you back, Sholmes.
Delighted to be here again, Lord Stronghart. What? What is the meaning of this? Bailiff, seize him! Put that man in irons! This is a closed court! You've been warned once already, man!
What the? We can't get out of him, my lord.
We just go right through him.
I'm afraid your efforts are wasted. You see, the great detective you see before you is composed entirely of light and shadow. An image, if you will. Mr. Naruhodo, I must congratulate you on your fine deductions.
Mr. Sholmes, what on earth is...
Are you familiar, I wonder, with the invention known as the telephone?
Well, yes. I hear that some public telephones have been installed recently in Tokyo.
The sound of the speaker's voice is converted to an electrical signal and transmitted instantly to another place.
Quite. Sounds are transmitted, so could not images keep them company, I mused. Iris and I did some modest experimentation to develop such a device specifically for this very day.
Modest experimentation, Mr. Sholmes. What a modest description.
And somewhat incidentally, I thought we might just as well transmit an entire scene.
Somewhat incidentally, Mr. Sholmes, now you're just being immodest.
Do you mean to say you're not actually here, Sholmes?
Ah, I knew my trusty partner would have no trouble grasping the concept.
Except he's grasping the stand to steady himself after your shock arrival.
Poor father. I would have hoped he might have been forewarned, being the Great Detective's great partner.
Leave my courtroom at once! Get out, or I swear to you! Hear me. You, on the other hand, Lord Stronghart, appear to have a very poor grasp of the situation. Allow me to reiterate, I am not here, which would, I hope, lead naturally to one asking,
Where exactly are you?
the very question I was awaiting. I am at present enjoying the air in a rather splendid garden.
Huh? A garden?
Uh-oh.
Not just any garden, you understand. A garden at Buckingham Palace.
Whoa!
What? What? You can't be! Buckingham Palace?
What's Buckingham Palace, Miss Susato? I've never heard of it. Oh, come on, man.
Do you ever read the news, Mr. Naruto?
Mr. Sholmes, is Iris with you there?
Ah, well now, Iris is currently enjoying some tea with Her Majesty.
Her Majesty?
Not just any Her Majesty, you understand. Her Majesty, the Queen of the British Empire. What?
Oh boy.
Busted.
What on earth is this all about?
Buckingham Palace is Her Majesty the Queen's residence in London, Mr. Naruto.
Order! Order in court! I demand immediate silence! Her Majesty the Queen? You can't be! I mean, no! This is some sort of unforgivably distasteful trickery by a third-rate detective, that's all! Unforgivably distasteful trickery? What an apt description. A closed court session attended by elite members of the judiciary is a rare event. I presume that Her Majesty would be more than a little curious about the proceedings. So, I decided to show her everything from start to finish. Huh? You showed her? Indeed. By dint of the Herlock Sholmes remote cinematograph. You meddling!
This is some kind of nightmare.
Just as I appear to be standing before you, regaling you with talk of my latest invention. No doubt you've inferred that the reverse is also true.
You don't mean...
Her Majesty has seen and heard every moment of the proceedings. I assumed there would be no objection. After all, every trial in this country is conducted under the auspices of Her Majesty, as you know. You! I confess I am quite impatient to hear Her Majesty's opinion about the unforgivably distasteful trickery in which you've been engaged over the past 10 years. No! I was merely... Oh, so sorry to keep you all waiting. Nikki and I had so much to talk about.
Iris, there you are.
In fact, I've left a message here from Her Majesty. A message? Well then, if everyone is sitting comfortably, forthwith and with immediate effect, all authority previously afforded to Mael Stronghart is hereby revoked forevermore. Furthermore, he will be prosecuted for crimes against his country in a public trial by jury in the coming days.
So, it seems that Her Majesty doesn't believe we need to fight fire with fire. Justice in this country needn't be administered from the shadows at all.
Mael Stronghart? The darkness you fostered to conceal your despicable actions these last 10 years is a thing of the past now. After today, your brand of law and order has no future, because no longer are you the Lord Chief Justice. In the eyes of the law and of Her Majesty the Queen, you are nothing but a criminal!
You criminal! How could you do something like this? What's that man at once?
Oh, adjourned! 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 Court is adjourned! Well, oof.
Here go the flames.
God, God, no! No! My whole bloody life! It's over! I'm finished!
The scales of justice!
I know.
They're being broken!
You bloody house monstrous! You've broken it! Oh no, I must flee! Oh, it's tipping over! I gotta get out of here! Oh, God! Oh, thank God! What? No!
Burn him.
I tried. Well, I thought it was all right. I thought so too, but
Okay.
man, okay.
All right, I promise you guys we're quiet from here on out.
Yeah, time to breathe, okay?
Lord Clint Van Zeeks left a will in which he confessed to everything. When those words came out of Asogi's mouth, it deranged me completely. I knew I must do anything and everything in my power to contain the situation. But I couldn't find the damned document. I searched his cell, but it wasn't there.
Which precipitated the jailbreak plot, I presume.
What do you mean? The need to obtain that will was all-consuming. I was sure that if I facilitated Asogi's escape, he would emerge with the will somewhere on his person. But despite searching his limp body in the cemetery that night, it still eluded me. It never even crossed my mind that it was concealed in the sword's hilt.
Ugh. Oh boy.
Wow.
Burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, but
Even his hair went down.
this isn't over yet, though.
No, it's not.
What pains me now is that my brother left this world without a word to me.
I'm sorry, Lord Van Zeeks.
In point of fact, I think perhaps that isn't the case.
Sorry?
How can that be?
There is more to his last will and testament.
What?
As I confront the prospect of my demise, I feel bitter regret for my younger brother. Parak, you have always looked up to me, and now you follow in my footsteps to become a prosecutor. It's my fervent wish that my unspeakable deeds should not hinder your advancement. I ask not for understanding, for none could understand my depravity. I ask only for forgiveness.
Asogi is a fine detective and a hunter worthy of respect. He has agreed to honor my final two wishes. The first is that this document survives. The second, I cannot commit to paper. I have confessed my sins to my wife. May she find resolution in my death. With my eternal gratitude to my Japanese friend, I rest my quill. Clint Van Zeeks.
Clint.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Mael Stronghart, You colluded with Seishou Jigoku in a criminal plot so immense it spanned the oceans. And you cold-heartedly murdered all those who knew the truth about what happened 10 years ago. But why did you set about that now, a whole decade later?
To ascend to the very peak.
Huh?
These last 10 years made me realize being the Lord Chief Justice wasn't enough. Short of becoming Her Majesty's Attorney General, I could have no real power to affect the changes needed in this country. And for that promotion, I needed to ensure no remnants of the past remained.
How could you?
I like everything to run smoothly, in the exact manner that I prescribe, like a well-oiled machine. And I was just a step away.
And for your ambition to succeed, did you even bother to count the number of brilliant people you had killed?
Mr. Reaper, are you not forgetting something?
Such as...
You have very much adopted your usual prosecutor-like demeanor in the proceedings now. But the reality of the situation is that you are the defendant in this trial. However, the presiding judge would appear to have fallen from the bench, as it were. May I suggest, therefore, that we entrust the final adjudication to an old friend?
My lord!
As a member of the judiciary, I have been following the proceedings from the gallery, and I must say, I shan't ever forget the extraordinary battle between good and evil that I witnessed here today. The darkness that has blighted justice in our land these past 10 years has at last been dispelled, thanks in no small part to the efforts of a bright young star from the east. Defense Counsel Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. On behalf of everyone here present in the Old Bailey, I give you my heartfelt thanks. You're too kind, my lord.
The first time I faced you in court, just under a year ago now, I had the faintest of imitations that if British justice so warped and twisted over its long history was finally to know change, this might just be the man to do it.
What?
But at the time, I wouldn't allow myself to acknowledge the possibility. I couldn't overcome my hatred of the Japanese after the circumstances of my brother's death. Mr. Naruhodo, allow me to apologize for countless discourtesies on my part. You are a lawyer of boundless talent.
Oh, Lord Van Zeeks.
When I first arrived in Great Britain, I was literally a nobody. Certainly not a lawyer. The truth is, my fortunes have entirely been made by the miraculous people I've met. My best friend, Kazuma Sogi, who led me here to Britain in the first place. My loyal and ever-patient judicial assistant, Miss Susato, who helped me study to become a lawyer. The brilliant Lord Van Zeeks, who never failed to challenge his Nipponese rival. And not to mention, the exceptional master of logic and reasoning, who showed me the true art of deduction, Mr. Sholmes.
Saving the best for last, Mr. Naruhodo. What a relief.
I'm well aware that without all these people's help and support, I wouldn't be where I am today. The truth is a guiding light that always leads to happiness. I've lived by that principle for a long time now, but actually, it's not true. The truth can also cause great pain, sometimes even leave people on the brink of despair.
And for that reason, there are those who feel the need to hide the truth, who do it instinctively even.
But as soon as we allow our eyes to settle on something other than the truth, the darkness takes hold. And from there, it grows until eventually it makes us blind to the guiding light of the truth altogether. So that's why it's my belief that we must all resolve never to avert our eyes from what is just and true. Whoosh! So that we can continue to walk the straight and narrow path ahead. Well said.
You bet.
Oh boy. So yeah, this is like the 2-hour-long getting off the ride thing.
Well, I must excuse myself now. But before I go, Mr. Naruto, let me compliment you on your grand opus.
What?
Without your beautifully composed case against Lord Stronghart, Her Majesty would have been unable to act. Thanks to you and your fellows, the haunting undertones corrupting British justice system. Thanks to you and your fellows, the haunting undertones corrupting Britain's justice system have been silenced.
Thank you very much.
So, until our paths cross again somewhere.
Well then, it would appear that this long trial has finally come to an end.
My apologies for any anxiety caused, my lord.
I'm quite sure we shall meet again here in the courtroom before long, Prosecutor Barak Van Zieks. In conclusion of these proceedings, I hereby declare the defendant, Barak Van Zieks...
We got 2 words for ya!
Say it out loud!
Not guilty!
Love it. Never gets old. That is all. Court is adjourned. 6 words I thought I'd never hear. Oh boy. Now it's time for all the aftermath.
Remember, the only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over.
4th of November, 4:21 p.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber.
It really is all over.
Yep, you can cry now.
But did I sacrifice too much?
Mr. Naruto, I really must congratulate you. It was a truly, truly splendid performance. Honestly, I couldn't be happier for you.
Oh, thank you very much. But I really couldn't have done it without you at my side through it all, Miss Susato.
Your kind words mean so much to me.
It really was. It really was a very splendid show, that, Naruto. I'd have thought you'd be smiling from ear to ear, but you look rather glum.
Well, of course I'm delighted about the verdict, but exposing the truth, I'm afraid I've caused my client a great deal of pain. I'm really not sure that's what a lawyer ought to be doing.
Oh well, in that case, I'm quite sure that when you see Lord Van Zieks' smiling face, everything will seem much better.
Doesn't look like he's smiling. Miss Susato, everything seems worse. He has a face like thunder.
Oh dear, I really shouldn't have presumed.
Miss Naruto,
Yes?
almost a year it's been now since I first encountered you here in this very courthouse. For you to have risen to the level of excellence you demonstrated today, well, it's quite remarkable.
But I exposed the most unpalatable truth you could ever have imagined in court today. I feel as though I've robbed you of something you held so dear.
What was it he said? To fight those who dwell in the darkness requires at least some of us to occupy the darkness ourselves.
Huh?
But that was just the feeble excuse of a coward. Only those with a steadfast eye for the truth have what it takes to fight the dark forces of crime. You made fine work of establishing that fact in court today.
Oh. Well, thank you.
But What magnanimous words! I'm quite sure that Kazuma-sama would have a smile on his face at this very moment if he were here.
Kazuma.
Oh boy.
Miss Susato, there's another face like thunder here.
Oh my! And he really was here! Lord Van Zeeks, allow me to congratulate you on your acquittal.
Congratulate me or curse me. You failed to bring down the Reaper.
I owe you an apology.
No, it is I who should apologize. Your father, Genshin. If I had been stronger, then perhaps I made an unforgivable error of judgment. I can offer no excuse.
And I can offer no forgiveness. That said, I suppose you fought for justice and the truth. For that at least, I can't withhold respect.
Your words mean more to me than you could know. I will hold them dear.
Kazuma-sama.
I must say, there's one thing that's still bothering me.
What's that?
The will that Lord Clint Van Zeeks wrote before his duel with my father.
Oh?
Mm.
Oh! Asogi is a fine detective and a hunter worthy of respect. He has agreed to honor my final two wishes. The first is that this document survives. The second, I cannot commit to paper. I have confessed my sins to my wife. May she find resolution in my death. With my eternal gratitude to my Japanese friend, I rest my quill. Clint Van Zeeks.
What can the second of his final wishes have been?
That your father agreed to honor, you mean? I think perhaps I might be able to shed some light on that.
What?
Father!
It was 10 years ago, as you know. The day before the execution was scheduled, I went to the prison to say my farewells to Genshin. Why aren't you putting up more of a fight, Genshin? If you'd only agree to it, Seishiro and I would gladly petition the government.
We've been through this already. You don't need to worry about me. Anyway, Eugen, I have a favor to ask of you. Something of great importance.
You're one of my greatest friends, Genshin. Whatever it is, consider it done.
I'm going to tell you an address. I need you to go there at once, in secret and telling no one. You should find a lady of the gentry in hiding there.
A lady of the gentry?
She's not in a good way, and she's with child. The birth is imminent. As a medical man, I'd like you to attend to her. Please, you're her only hope.
By any chance, is the child yours, Genshin?
Don't be daft. It's a favor that was asked of me by a man I knew. That's his dying wish.
Uh-oh. My goodness.
I swore to the man that I would help, that I would do whatever I could for his wife and unborn child. But if something should happen to me, I need to ask you that same favor. You're the only person I know that I can truly rely on.
What did you say? If something should happen to you, tomorrow night you're going to be...
Never know, though, do you? What life will bring.
All right, then. Tell me the address. I'll head there at once, with Seishiro and...
No, not with him.
Pardon?
This is a favor I'm asking of you, and only you, Eugen.
Right. I see. Very well, then. That very night, I caught a train from Paddington to Dartmoor in Devon. I found the old house. In the middle of nowhere, it was. An old hunting hound lay asleep on the grounds.
Yep. Oh boy.
The poor woman was on the floor at the back of a darkened room. She was in mortal danger. I broke her waters to precipitate labor before she weakened further, but it was a torturous birth. I did everything humanly possible for her and her child.
Ugh, boy.
My God. And in the end, I was lucky enough to welcome a new life into the world. But tragically, my efforts to save the mother's life were in vain. I held the healthy newborn girl in my arms and wept for longer than I care to remember. Eventually, in something of a daze, I looked around the room. There was precious little in it, but an old travel trunk caught my eye.
Look at that.
It had clearly been well looked after over the years, made of top-quality leather with fine stitching. But it was when I saw the emblem on the side of it that everything dropped into place.
The Baskerville emblem.
B for Baskerville.
Baskerville!
You mean the woman was the wife of Lord Clint Van Zeeks?
That's right. The newborn was his daughter.
But
that makes no sense! Why on earth would Clint have entrusted the child to my care in that case? I was completely unaware that he'd even had a daughter.
I suppose he didn't really have any choice.
What?
Well, your brother said that he'd confessed everything to his wife. So she must have been beside herself with worry for her child. If the true identity of the professor were ever to be made public, the girl would be forever branded as the daughter of the infamous mass murderer.
So the only solution was to distance the young girl from the Van Zeeks family as much as possible. I don't believe it.
I imagine that in his final hour, Lord Clint Van Zeeks made the obvious choice. He would have thought to himself, this Japanese man here is someone I can trust. I honor my promise to Genshin, of course. However, only a month later, I was summoned back to Japan, and without disclosing the parentage of the child, I couldn't obtain permission to take her with me.
Oh, how awful.
I was completely at a loss. In the end, I had to ask my great friend. I asked him if he would be a father to her.
That being Mr. Sholmes, I presume.
Yes. He took one look into my eyes and agreed to it on the spot.
Mr. Sholmes. He has a heart of gold.
Really, all it can be said that I did for the child was to give her a name.
Oh?
When I'd come to Britain, I was trying to escape from the grief of losing my darling wife. So it was her name that I gave the little girl.
Your wife's name, Professor Mikitoba. In other words,
The name of my mother. Ayami Mikitoba.
oh!
That's right. Ayame. Or in English, Iris.
What?
What the heck is going on here?
Wait a minute. Iris is the daughter of the professor?
What?
Iris! And yet another stunning revelation related to the name Iris.
I had no idea.
Ding dong. Ouch!
Mr. Naruhodo, what's wrong?
This little thing just pinched me on the behind through my trouser pocket. Hard!
Ah, my dear fellows, can you hear me?
Mr. Sholmes, is that you? Ouch! Yes, we can hear you.
You see what excessive tugging can do? Let that be a lesson to you.
Mr. Sholmes, we weren't able to thank you properly before, but you were simply marvelous. Your checkmate move was a stroke of genius.
Indeed it was, wasn't it? I surpassed myself, I feel. It had become apparent to me that to stop the Lord Chief's injustice would require such measures.
Runo! Susie!
Oh,
Iris!
What? Oh,
Oh, I'm so pleased! What a wonderful outcome! The Majesty Queen Vicky said she thought my special play was delicious.
Oh, I'm sure she did. After all, no one brews a more delicious tea than you do, Iris.
Let's have a party to celebrate. And Mr. Reaper, you simply must come too.
what?
I'm afraid I couldn't.
The Reaper of the Bailey, flustered by a 10-year-old girl. Again.
No! Really? Oh, pooh.
But I give you my word that I shall present myself at your residence in the near future to express my gratitude.
Oh, how lovely.
You've promised now. I won't let you forget. Bye for now then.
All right, Iris, thank you for all your help earlier.
Oh, that was nothing. Just come back home soon.
I gave that my best.
Yep. Ouch! Ugh. One final pinch goodbye, was it? Ding dong. Ouch.
Well, I think I ought to be leaving. Lord Van Zeeks, would you care to accompany me?
Certainly. Mr. Naruhodo, allow me once again to express my deep gratitude to you. I believe you saved my life.
And there they go.
And away they go.
Wait! Lord Van Zeeks!
Yes?
What are you intending to do now?
Well, clearly, I shall have to resign from the prosecutor's office.
Oh no!
I intend to publicize the full truth about the Professor case. Once that's done, the Van Zeeks family will be ostracized completely from London society.
Surely not.
So as soon as I'm free from my employment, I shall leave the capital.
Oh, I see. Don't be a
Don't be a fool.
Don't be a fool. Are those actions of a man once feared as the mighty Reaper of the Bailey?
I beg your pardon?
For the past 10 years, you've endured that pseudonym and been cast as one of the dark forces yourself. Now that you've finally been freed from that disrepute, your battle is just beginning, surely.
Well, I certainly never expected to hear those words from your lips.
I waited a very long time to come to London. Now I'm properly here, I intend to learn all that I can. Anyway, goodbye for now, Ryunoske Naruhodo.
Bye-bye. Kazuma Sogi. It seems as though he's really matured suddenly.
He's not the only one who's matured, Mr. Naruhodo.
Hmm?
Well, I think we should make our way back to Baker Street. We must help Iris with tonight's dinner.
We must.
Oh yeah,
All right.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. It was then that I came to an important decision about my future. Oh boy,
Oh, here we
there's
go.
more.
Yup. Is he gonna accept the offer? Is he
Yep.
gonna accept the favor? Meanwhile, 4th of November, 6:25 p.m., Sholmes Suite.
I'm home.
About time you got here. We've been waiting ages, Otto.
What are you doing with that colorful piece of history?
It's a party, ain't it? It's gonna go off on a bang. I mean, fireworks, ideally. When you ain't got fire, smoke's the next best thing, ain't it?
There's a girl on Fresno Street who could help you with that, I think.
Right, get this thing sorted. I remember that.
You don't have to reload that thing every time I speak. You really must hear this.
You really must hear this. It's quite the most extraordinary thing.
You really must hear this. It's the most extraordinary thing. I assure you, it will defy your expectations. Take down every detail now, Mikitoba. Ah, the world-famous Great Detective regaling his partner with a tale of his adventure. A sight to behold. Would you care to hazard a guess? Where do you suppose the fiendish runaway had concealed himself? Would you believe? Inside the trunk I found abandoned in his cabin?
I would believe it, yes.
I say, Mikitoba, I detect not a hint of surprise.
I wonder why that is. Maybe because I was there at the scene as well, Sholmes.
What? You were? Then why the deuce didn't you say so? Before?
Not quite the sight I was expecting to behold, but still, it's hard not to feel privileged to see it. Hello, Mr. Sholmes, Professor Mikitoba. I'm finally back from the Bailey.
And not a moment too soon. A feast prepared by Iris and Miss Susato awaits.
I must say, I haven't seen Susato looking so happy in a very long time.
Ah, Runo, there you are.
Dinner's on the table, everyone. Please do come take a seat.
Time to fill me boots.
Yeah, but... Goodness, is that really true, Gina?
Yep. I'm losing me copper's cobbler and going back to what I know best. The diver's life for me. You're really leaving the police force? But why, Ginny? Well, the boss ain't around anymore, so... Oh. And anyway, no matter how hard I try, that Reaper ain't ever gonna accept a diver tamed dick, is he? Well, people can change now.
Ah, yes, that reminds me. I rather thoughtfully offer to relieve the bailiff of this now defunct piece of evidence.
Hey?
It's the inspector's pocket watch, and the crown has been reattached.
That watch was his pride and joy, a symbol of his great achievements at Scotland Yard. For 10 years without fail, it measured every second of the man's remarkable career.
But now, it's stopped.
Someone needs to keep the memory of Inspector Gregson's career alive by taking on the great responsibility of winding that watch every single day again.
Yes, someone with an equally fierce detective spirit.
It's gotta be me. There ain't no one else.
Quite right.
I mean, after all, the boss was... Well, he was my boss. Yes, Ginny. Yes, he was. Oh, yeah. And I made you a promise and all, didn't I, Iris? And I'll become a proper detective one day and track down the old man.
Oh,
All right, then. It's decided. I'll do it. And I'll swear I'll find you dead and bring him in kicking and screaming.
I'm not entirely sure that would be appropriate.
yes, I think, Gina, it might be best to, well...
I think I'd like you to forget that promise, Ginny. Hey?
Iris?
Well, obviously I've always wondered about who my real daddy is. Of course I have. I want to know where I've come from. I thought you might tell me something about myself. But I've caused such a lot of trouble trying to find out with so many people. Hurley, Runo, Professor Pinky.
Oh no, not at all, my dear. Really, you owe no apology to anyone.
Well, anyway, I decided to give up on it because I finally realized my daddy is the greatest in the world. I don't think it matters what his name is or where he's from. Don't you agree? Early?
With every word, Iris.
Thank you, Hurley. Thank you, Daddy.
Oh.
Aww.
I think, Mikitoba,
Yes, Sholmes?
I think that I ought to express my gratitude to you.
Oh?
For 6 years, you and I solved many a mystery together, and during that time I remember countless expressions of gratitude for our good services. But a moment ago, I heard the most pleasing expression of gratitude of them all, and I should never have experienced it were it not for you.
You old softy, Sholmes. But I must confess, it's a weight off my mind to hear you say it.
Well then, I think this calls for a lengthy violin recital, wouldn't you say?
Oh, well, the food would go cold. That's the only problem. Maybe next week, Hurley.
Are you sure a week is long enough, Iris? Even amidst the most troubling of cases, even reeling from the most shocking of revelations, returning in the evening to this suite of rooms, there's always warmth and happiness to be had.
Yep.
The home of the world's greatest detective, and my home too, with my greatest family. Fourth of November, 9:37 p.m., Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy. This attic room has been my home and office for almost a year now. I've certainly had some unforgettable experiences whilst I've lived here. But I think now the time has come. Time to bid this place farewell.
Oh.
What are you saying?
Naruhodo.
Oh, Professor.
Are you alone? I didn't hear any sound from Susato's room.
Yes, Susato-san went out after dinner. She took a carriage. Something about an important matter she needed to take care of.
Ah, I see. I wanted to thank you for what you did earlier.
Oh?
With Iris, I mean. When the subject of her father came up.
Lord Clint Van Zeeks.
I made up my mind many years ago never to tell her who her real father was. It's what was agreed with Genshin after all.
Lord Clint Van Zeeks' final wishes before he died, you mean?
Yes, I've had to take some rather drastic steps at times to protect that secret, you know. Calling Susato back to Japan 6 months ago, for example.
That's why!
Oh. When I read Sasaki-san's report about his final days in London, my heart nearly stopped. You'd stumbled across the crux of that terrible case. The dog's collar. The description of the Baskerville insignia left me in no doubt.
Baskerville.
If you decided to investigate that insignia sooner or later, you'd have made the connection to the Van Zeeks. And to make matters worse, Susato knew of the unpublished story as well. A story that Iris had written based on my notes from the time.
The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Ah, yes, the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Exactly.
Man.
It was a work of fiction, but based on the grim reality of a huge beast of a dog being used as a murder weapon. A dog with the Baskerville family emblem around its neck. Armed with those two clues, I feared you and Susato might arrive at the truth. So I invented that story about having collapsed to justify her leaving London and returning to Japan at once. All in the aid of halting any investigations you and she might have been contemplating.
I see. Something I've never understood is why Susato-san came across that manuscript in Japan, though. You know, Iris is the Hound of the Baskerville story, I mean.
Sholmes sent it to me. That was before Susato left Japan. He was very troubled about what should be done about it, you see. I'd read it and carelessly left it on my desk, which is where Susato came across it, of course.
Ah,
It was the only case Sholmes and I ever pursued that I didn't record in meticulous detail. I was stunned when I discovered that young Iris had pieced together so much of it from my paltry notes. Sholmes and I discussed the matter and decided that we couldn't allow the story's publication. At that point, I returned the manuscript by post to Sholmes for safekeeping.
so you did all that to stop Iris from finding out the truth about her father.
That's right, because Sholmes had told me how astute she'd become. However, having witnessed events in court today, I must say my opinion has somewhat shifted.
Oh?
I think at some point in the future, the time will come for Iris to know the truth. And when it does, well, I believe it will be for the best.
I think so too. Actually, Professor, I wanted to talk to you about something. I wanted to talk to you about something too.
Judging from that expression, I'd say you've come to a decision, have you?
Yes, I have. I will be returning with you to Japan.
Are you quite sure?
I'm really only here as a substitute for Kazuma. But he's here in Britain now, as originally intended. Locum student Naruhodo doesn't really have a right to stay, I think.
I see.
Looking back now, when I first arrived here in February, my becoming a lawyer just seemed to be the way things turned out. With Kazuma, Susato-san, and Mr. Sholmes all gently pushing me in that direction. I spent the best part of a year immersed in this world, but always aware of a seed of doubt inside me. Until today. Standing in that courtroom earlier, all doubts vanished from my mind. I was totally focused. I was sure of my belief in my client, and I was sure I could see the trial through. And at the end of it, I finally realized no one else chose this path for me. I chose it myself.
The path of a defense lawyer, eh?
Yes, that's what I am now. That's what I'll be going back with you to Japan as. And that's the path I'll be following for the rest of my life.
Well, it sounds like you made quite a resolution there.
I have.
Very well then. I must say, it's extremely welcome news. I shall make arrangements for your return first thing tomorrow, but I don't imagine we'll depart for a few days.
Not with the symposium having been canceled now. Such a shame.
Never mind. I'm sure there'll be other opportunities in the future. Well then, I'll bid you good night.
Oh boy.
There she is.
Susato-san!
I just wanted to let you know I'm back.
Oh boy. Has she overheard this?
Did you, hear what your father and I were discussing?
I'm sorry. I did. Yes, I couldn't help but...
Oh! How much did you hear?
Well, from the part about Iris's real father, I think.
In other words, from the beginning.
So you've made up your mind. You'll return to Japan and continue working as a defense lawyer.
Ah, yes. I'm sorry. I really should have consulted you about it. I did want to earlier this evening, actually, but you'd already gone out.
Oh no, that's quite all right. I already knew that it's what you decide, Naruhodo-san.
You did? Hmm. Oh boy. Okay, anyway. Susato-san?
Ah, yes?
I suppose this means it has to be farewell soon.
I suppose.
You'll be a great help to Kazuma going forward. I mean, I know he's a brilliant lawyer, but he's new to the British courtroom. He'll certainly benefit greatly having a brilliant judicial assistant at his side.
I'll do my very best.
I wish I could say it, but I just can't. I can't ask her to come with me. After all, she was always supposed to be coming to Britain as Kazuma's assistant.
It's growing late. We should both try to get some sleep. I'm sure you must be exhausted after today.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Before I retire, let me just say one more time. You really were quite splendid in court today. So if you ask me, anyone who thinks of you as a substitute or a locum should be ashamed of themselves.
Susato-san. Thank you. Whew. Damn.
I don't think we're done yet, folks.
Not quite. Like I said, this is a long getting off the ride process.
7th of November, 5:42 a.m. Port of Dover, Quayside.
I can't believe this day's finally come.
They're really heavy then, Runo.
I'm afraid so, Iris. Thank you so much for everything. I don't know what I'll do without your wonderful cooking and delicious tea.
I wish you weren't going. But you have to come back and visit. Say you will.
Of course. I promise.
Well, it was a very brief reunion, but it was a pleasure to pursue a case with you again after so long. For a while, at least. It felt like old times.
Yes, I suppose on reflection, there's something to be said for it. Having a little fun once in a while.
I'll just go and say goodbye to the professor as well, I think.
All right, Iris, you do that.
I think the voice actors will take it from there.
Susato-san.
Okay.
I've just checked, Naruhodo-san. Your luggage is already on board. Such a beautiful morning. Perfect for embarking on a journey, isn't it?
Before I set off, I'd just like to say how thankful I am for everything you've done for me. And give my warmest regards to Kazuma, please.
Actually, I think you ought to give him your regards in person, don't you?
Yeah, he's closer than you think.
Sorry?
Ryunoske.
Kazuma! What are you doing here?
Do you really think I'd miss my best friend's departure?
Thanks. To be honest, I'd been looking forward to our wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's capital. But,
Well, we'll have to save that for another time. Personally, I'm looking forward to facing you in court again.
Me too. But, we're both defense lawyers, so,
I'm going to become a prosecutor.
Oh boy.
I'll stay in Lord Van Zeek's tutelage for the time being, but before long, I intend to be just as formidable as the Reaper himself.
Wow.
Ooh.
Oh, I see.
Actually, Ryunoske, I have a favor to ask.
Name it.
I'd like you to take care of this for me for a while.
Karuma? Why?
Because I've seen it now. I've seen what's inside me, the demon that reared its ugly head that day. It was only for the briefest of moments. The last time I came face to face with that inspector, but it was unmistakable. I wanted to kill him. I've always known there are demons that live inside people. And now I know there is one in me. The fact that it very nearly consumed me is something I'll carry with me.
Oh.
Until the end of my days. While I devote my life to fighting those whose demons have got the better of them. As a prosecutor.
Oh my.
So, that's what you've resolved to do, is it?
Until I'm ready to face the demon within me. To slay it once and for all. I leave this in your care.
Wow.
If you'll take it.
Damn.
Passing of the torch.
Of course I will. I'll keep it by my side. Always.
That is some mad respect there, brother.
Yep.
Until we meet again, then. You have your path to follow, and I have mine.
Naruhodo-san? The path you're going to follow from now on, I wonder if I might follow it at your side, and unless I'd be a burden.
What? I mean, I would very much like you to come with me. But aren't you...
You're so predictable, Ryunoske.
I am?
Honestly, you never change at all. But that's what I like about you.
You mean you knew about this?
It was the evening after Lord Van Zeek's trial came to an end. She came to see me at the prosecutor's office.
Really? Oh, when I had that conversation with Professor Mikotoba.
So, you'd go with Ryunoske back to Japan?
Yes. I know it's unfair of me to follow my own interests like this.
Coming here especially to tell me. You're a stickler for etiquette, aren't you? Well, what are his feelings?
We've never discussed it, of course, and Naruhodo-san has made no such suggestion. I worry that perhaps I'd be a burden to him.
Wow. Oh boy.
He's just as much of a stickler for etiquette as you are. He'd never say anything before he was asked. But I'd feel happy knowing you were with him. Look out for him on my behalf, will you?
Of course.
Susato-san.
What do you think, Naruhodo-san?
With you by my side, no trial would seem too daunting. So if you're willing, I'd be honored if you'd come with me. Together we can take on the world.
I'm terribly incompetent, but if you'll have me, I'd be delighted.
Oh, no, not at all. If anyone's terribly incompetent, it's me. Ah!
What's wrong?
Your luggage, Susato-san. There's no time. The ship's going to set sail any minute now.
Yeah, you would.
It's all right. There's no need to worry. As it happens, my luggage is already on board too.
It is?
Your fine judicial assistant has everything in hand as always, I see.
They better hoof it though. It's ready to go.
Runo, your ship's about to leave.
Time to go then. Look after yourself, Ryunoske.
Wow.
Kazuma, draw your sword.
Here we go. Look at this beautiful piece of cinematography.
Yep, look at that.
Beautiful sunrise.
Oh, we got it. Oh, no, it's still broken.
Oh boy.
One day, when our paths cross once more, we'll fight a duel of words across the courtroom. A day I eagerly await as a lawyer.
I've been waiting to hear you say that. Partner.
Partner.
Yep.
Isn't he gonna get that damn thing fixed?
You know, right?
You know, okay, well, folks, I think we're getting to the credits here.
Not yet.
Well, not quite.
Don't forget me then, Kazuma.
As if I could. Ryunoske.
And Mr. Sholmes, thank you so much. I'm very much indebted to you.
Indeed, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe you are.
I'll never forget all you've done for me during my time in London.
Quite. I should like to think you will remember your debt of gratitude. Especially when I visit you in your country. What? The truth is, although many are ignorant of the fact, the world is far smaller than most folk realize.
Yeah,
Well,
truly is.
I'd be delighted if you came to Japan one day.
Oh yes, would welcome you with open arms, Mr. Sholmes.
Oh, that sounds wonderful! I can't wait!
In that case, let us conclude that this is to be merely a brief parting, my dear fellows.
Okay.
And that brings us to the end of my adventures in Great Britain.
There you go.
Away they go.
A peculiar twist of fate brought me halfway around the world those many months ago. But that was just the start of my journey. Who knows where fate will lead me next?
Yeah, I'm hoping that there's a third.
Still, I'm confident this won't be my last meeting with the friends I've made in London. And when we're together again, no doubt the first words I'll hear will be,
Objection.
Come, the game is afoot.
Oh, come, the game is foot. Yep.
The ship, with our friends from the east, sailed steadily towards the distant horizon. But Sholmes' face was alight with joy.
The times may change, but a steadfast friendship will remain true, Wilson. We have but to gently close our eyes, and we are with our companions once more.
Oh, double.
So I do just that. And when I do, I can hear his strong, familiar voice ring out.
What's he gonna say?
Objection!
Objection!
Until we meet again, Runo.
The Great Ace Attorney. So I think there might be more, but I think if not, then we're getting out of here.
Yeah, well, yep, this is the credits.
So now what? I guess we could play, because we could do story mode. I'm not sure. Oh wait, here we go.
I've been thoroughly inundated with inquiries about my remote cinematographs since that day. But I'm no purveyor of electoral goods, or of the promised closed court secrecy. Anyway, I've decided an absence from London is in order, a sojourn in distant climes. The Empire of Japan, perhaps. I understand that wardrobe class incurs no charge whatsoever.
Okay, so we do have a couple of lines left.
Yeah, listen to that music though, folks.
Yep.
I gave a little note to Hurley the other day. It just said, "Thank you for everything, Daddy." But it made Hurley cry. And I gave him some lotion I invented as well to dye his hair red safely. He said that might make him cry too, so he'd rather not use it.
Well, he probably regrets having turned his hair red.
I know, right?
Okay.
In those days, when I was known as the Reaper, I felt your presence at my side. Once, unable to bear the burden of that grim pseudonym, I even retired from the courtroom. Despite everything, I still wear your prosecutor's badge with pride, but the darkness that once beset me is no more, as you too are no more. In the words of a young foreign friend of mine, I must stride forward toward a brighter future.
What a noble, what a noble man he was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say it again. Thank you guys so much for your support over these past several months.
Boss left a note for me, you know, and I can read every letter now. A to Z, the whole lot. To clean a load of stuff up, the boss was trying to protect me, see? And that's exactly what me and Chief Inspector Toby here are gonna keep doing for Londoners. I only wish I could have said how grateful I was before he, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gina, the truth is, you're not the upstanding fellow you think I am. You might be a David at heart, but it's a good heart. You've reminded me I need to be true to myself. I've got one more job to take care of before it's ta-ta to London town for the foreseeable. And then, I've got to complete your education in the art of detecting Alec Gregson, as they say.
Oh, poor Gregson.
Yeah.
Gosh, that makes me sad.
I know. Nice rendition of cross-examination.
Your Excellency, this man is accused of illegal entry in the Austrian Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Objection! Overstatement of rule. The minister has been taken, but anyway.
Who is this cattish counsel for the defense? And women are forbidden to enter the courtroom.
Oh, really? My friend Susato-san is in the British courtroom all the time.
Doing a wonderful job.
Perhaps I should have gauged the services of a regular legal team.
Oh boy. What kind of hot water did he get himself into? Probably sneaking into the Judge Jigoku's office.
Yup. I wonder who the presiding judge in Japan is now. Well, whatever.
We don't know.
Mama, is it true much about Japanese people? Are they experts at finding corpses?
Yes, they are. Fish corpses on the whole.
I like to hone my own flaying skills. You don't mind, do you, Mama?
Yes, I do. I'm not a corpse yet, am I?
No. And I'm glad.
Okay. Okay. All right.
What's this?
The guidelines work. That's good, at least. Here I am, in Great Britain, on the invitation of my dear old university friend. He sent me a very nice letter saying he'd like to show me around now that everything was settled. But what have I done? I was so excited I picked a splendid hotel, and now I can't afford the bill. Oh, Barrett, come to my rescue again, please. I wish I could vanish into thin air sometimes.
Well, you're not in trouble with this guy, are you?
No.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to be sure. Listen to that music.
Mm-hmm.
And the percussions. When I went to make the backflip impression of the killer on the cemetery, I realized what had happened. But even in the witness stand of the highest court in the land, I could never speak of it. The Lord Chief Justice in there had stuck a bargain, you see. For faithful reproductions of his house, there is nothing we Jaspers would not do.
Okay.
Nice rendition of Pursuit.
Yes. Nice key change.
Everyone calls me gossip. I tell Charlie Latinos to have press spot, you know. Everyone calls me a pepino, and it's spaghetti. It's more than my head.
Everyone, they call me. No, I cannot do it. This is ridiculous.
Oh, dearly, how charming. You've made lots of new friends here, I see.
Yes, and when we're released, we're all going to strike it rich together.
With those two bozos? Surely not.
Poor bastard.
No, I cannot do it.
When I was accepted on the foreign study tour, I knew exactly what path I had to take. And however it might have ended, I knew that I wanted you there to see it. If I'd ended up in the dock, there's no one I would have rather had defending me. But now, thanks to you, there's a new path I want to take. I'm sure we'll meet again in the courtroom, my friend. Until then, I leave Kuruma in your care.
Yeah, thanks a lot, partner.
You bet, Ryunoske. Oh, what's this then? I made some tea, Naruhodo-san. It's important that you rest whilst you can. Once we arrive in Japan, you shall be busy establishing your new office. I'm so delighted to be accompanying you. After all, your talents have been recognized by a great detective. Because you really are the greatest of lawyers. A great ace attorney, some might say.
I see what you did there.
Yes.
So, folks, while we're going through this charade, hang on. Oh.
What's this now?
Oh, look at that picture. That's awesome.
Nice.
Oh.
Right. That almost went.
Oh, it's
Wow.
a cheerful, right? Oh, there's Waggy. That's cool. I like that. That's a great
Now
picture.
that's a family.
Yep.
Um.
And Finn, I believe it is.
Yep.
At least I hope.
I think the credits are about to roll.
Roll? I thought we just got done roll. Oh, yeah.
No, here come the credits now. The rest of the credits. Why don't we go ahead and...
Okay, so now let's just start talking.
Yeah.
So, again, we thank you guys so much for your support over the years and support over these past several months. Obviously, you know, it was... I can't believe that we're finally done with this. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, these voice actors deserve credit, though. These
Yes,
guys have done
absolutely.
These guys have done very well.
Yep, all these guys.
Yep. Well, this is something that we've always wanted to do, and I know, and this may feel like a bittersweet moment, like you said earlier today, but
yeah, I mean, you know, I think the biggest thing was Paper Mario. You know, we would do this, you know, just when playing Paper Mario, and obviously one of the first voice acting sessions we ever did was
the 1,000-Year Door.
Was the 1,000-Year Door, and you know that was just a conflagration of all the stuff we did. So
yeah, man.
You know, so to see that come to life, and to see that you know, to see that come to life and be able to watch that back, you know, that's really meant something to us.
Yeah, I mean, for all our peers to you know, appreciate our work over the past few months or the years, for that matter, is it's when you've put everything you had in your work, it's nice to know how much you're appreciated for it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So Alex and I actually were actually doing some talking, and now we've come to realize something, that our videos that we made were excessively long.
Oh yeah, so that's it's a problem, you know. But I think, so going forward, what we're going to do is we're going to try to see if we can put our videos to like an hour a piece,
or
maybe.
Or next time we do like the Ace Attorney, or when the Apollo Justice trilogy comes out.
Yes.
We'll probably just thinking into every time it says to be continued, we'll cut it from there.
We just stop, regardless of how short or long it is.
Yeah, so
I guess
something like that, you know.
Yeah. So
we're also actually thinking of you know, cutting some clips to put together some of our highlights of this great project.
For sure. I mean, there's too many to mention.
Absolutely.
You know, we'll have shorts for days,
including including a breakdown a breakdown compilation, if you will.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, I've seen some of those, and so speaking of breakdowns, which one was your? Look at this guy tapping his shoes.
Yep. There you go, buddy.
All right. So speaking of, what was your favorite breakdown?
Well, I think it's pretty hard to top Strongheart's, but if I had to choose between that and another, I would say, he's clapping.
Look at this guy,
this douchebag,
clapping like a monkey.
Clapping like a monkey.
Remember that? Remember Damon Gant from the earlier videos?
Mm-hmm. I think we need to do a reprisal of those games too. But I think, oh look, this is cool. He's gonna. So he's meeting up with Kazuma. So I think. Besides that, I think one of my favorite breakdowns was of this game. Giselle Brett was pretty funny.
Yep.
Manny Memo-san getting thrown halfway across the courtroom. That was cool.
Yep.
What do you think?
Well, I think I liked your. I think I would like Ashley Graydon's breakdown where he choked the professor.
No, not the professor. The
inspector. Yeah. But I did love. I really liked Kazuma's breakdown. That was a good performance of mine.
Yep. So, well, I mean, if you happen to be watching this after the fact, send me a message. What was yours? And what would you like to see us do in the future? We always want to have that course of action.
Well, we did, but I guess we all made it clear that Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is next. But Finn, finally.
3 hours and 40 minutes later.
Yeah.
I knew that's why we had to start early.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay. Well,
this may have been the second longest video we've ever made.
Without a necessity, too. So, okay, folks.
Let's get out of here.
Yep, we have to get out. So,
intermission.
Oh, duh! I'm like, what are you doing? You're cutting me off here.
All
right. So, thank you so much for watching. This is obviously the season finale. It's a bittersweet moment, but I'm so happy about this whole project. We constantly watch all of these videos back time and time again. They're really good time passers when I'm in the car,
and we want to better ourselves in the near future. We want to better ourselves in all of our projects.
Yeah, and not just be better, with this gaming channel, but be better voice actors as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really a game out there quite like Ace Attorney that can really help us bust our acting chops like this. But there's a couple pieces of dialogue here and there.
Speaking of which, we should probably think about recruiting new voice actors to collaborate with us together.
One of these days, I'm sure.
In a Zoom meeting, if you will.
Well, I'd have to find out how all that would work. So, for the Cannonball Alex, I'm the Cannonball Alex Steele.
I am the Package Andrew Steele.
We are the Steele Brothers, and we are for real. Top guys out.